At 5:43 in the morning, my son-in-law opened the front door and told me my daughter didn't live there anymore. He said it the way a man might mention the pharmacy had changed its hours. Behind him, the house was dark except for the blue light above the stove. Jonah was barefoot, wearing gray sweatpants and a t-shirt I had given him 3 Christmases earlier. Best son-in-law I've ever had, it said. It had been funny because he was the only one. I looked past him. Where's Mara? I just told you. No, you told me where she isn't. His jaw tightened. Jonah had always been good-looking in a clean, dependable way. Even half awake, he looked like somebody you'd trust to hold your place in line. She left, he said. 2 weeks ago. I had both hands around the repaired stand mixer I'd carried from my truck. It was heavy enough that my fingers had begun to ache, but setting it down felt like accepting something I hadn't agreed to. 2 weeks? You should talk to her. I'm trying to. He glanced toward the driveway. Her car isn't here. That was true. It was also a strange thing to say. The porch light above us was off. Mara always left it on, even during the day. She claimed the timer had become emotionally attached to standard time. The 2 clay planters she kept beside the steps were gone. One had been shaped like a woman's face, with rosemary growing out of her head. The other was lopsided and leaked dirt every time it rained. Jonah hated both of them. I shifted the mixer against my chest. Did she take her things? Some. Did you ask her to leave? Walter, it's not even 6. I know what time it is. I don't think you do. Normally, I was the one telling other people to calm down. I had spent 38 years repairing appliances in houses where couples used a broken dishwasher as permission to discuss every disappointment since their wedding. I knew how to keep my voice level while a man in a bathrobe accused his wife of loading spoons maliciously. Jonah stepped onto the porch and pulled the door nearly shut behind him. Mara has been unhappy, he said. I tried to give her space. She decided she wanted more of it. Where is she staying? She didn't tell me. You haven't spoken to her in 2 weeks? I didn't say that. What did you say? He rubbed his face. This is exactly why I didn't call you. I almost laughed. You didn't call me because I ask follow-up questions? Because you show up with a toolbox and assume everything can be fixed. I looked down at the mixer. It had belonged to Mara's grandmother. Cream-colored enamel, chrome band, 12 speeds, most of them loud enough to frighten livestock. Mara had asked me to look at it in March. It was October. I was passing through, I said. At dawn, Ed Lawson's water heater is leaking. He has a doctor's appointment at 8, so I told him I'd get there early. Mara's up for work by now. She's not here. So you've mentioned. The curtain in the front room shifted. Not much, just enough for me to notice. I leaned slightly and Jonah moved with me, blocking the view. Is somebody staying with you? My mother. I knew Evelyn's apartment had suffered some water damage. Mara had mentioned it during one of our increasingly short phone calls. I hadn't realized Evelyn had moved in. Is she awake? No. The curtain settled. Jonah pointed at the mixer. You can leave that. I'll make sure Mara gets it. I'll make sure Mara gets it. His eyes dropped to my hands. Okay. It came out flat, almost bored. That bothered me more than if he'd tried to grab it. What happened? I asked. He exhaled through his nose. Marriage got difficult. Marriage is usually difficult in paragraphs. You're giving me fortune cookies. She walked out, Walter. I'm not going to stand on the porch and list my wife's faults for her father. That sounded decent. Jonah was good at sounding decent. I had admired that about him. I studied his face, looking for the strain I thought ought to be there. He looked tired, maybe hurt. Mostly he looked inconvenienced. Is she safe? Yes. You know that? I know she went to work yesterday. He realized his mistake as soon as I did. I thought she didn't tell you where she was. She didn't tell me where she's staying. I know she still has a job. Have you been talking? Some. Then call her. I'm not doing this with you. He reached for the door. I put my shoe against it before it closed. Not hard. I wasn't trying to force my way inside. Even so, Jonah stared down at my foot, as if I had become a different kind of man. Did you change the locks? I asked. His expression answered first. Then he said, She lost her key. Mara has never lost a key in her life. Maybe you don't know everything about her. That landed because it was true, although not in the way he meant. I removed my foot. I'll tell her you stopped by, he said. Do that. The deadbolt turned before I reached the steps. I stood in the cold, holding a 60-year-old mixer, while Ed Lawson's water heater emptied itself 20 miles away. The street had that colorless pre-dawn look that made every house seem abandoned. Jonah and Mara had lived there for 7 years. I had helped paint the dining room twice because Jonah decided the first beige had hostile undertones. I had replaced the garbage disposal, braced the sagging back steps, and once spent an entire Saturday fishing a bottle cap out of the dryer vent. I knew where they kept spare batteries. I didn't know my daughter had moved out. I set the mixer carefully on the passenger floor of my truck and called Mara. Her phone went straight to voicemail. "Hey, honey, it's Dad!" My voice sounded absurdly normal. "I'm outside your house." Or I was. Jonah said. I stopped. Said what? That she had left him? That he had changed the locks? That somebody had moved behind her curtain? "Call me," I finished. "Please." I sat there long enough for Jonah to switch off the blue stove light. Then I called Denise. My former wife answered on the 7th ring. Somebody better be bleeding. "It's Walter." That does narrow the list. "Have you heard from Mara?" Silence. Denise's voice changed when she spoke again. "Why?" I stopped at her house. "At this hour, I was going to Ed's." "Of course you were. Jonah says she doesn't live there anymore." Another silence, this one worse. "You knew," I said. "I knew they were having problems. That wasn't the question. It's not my story to tell." "I'm not asking you to tell me a story. I'm asking where our daughter sleeps. Have you called her?" "Yes." "Then give her a minute." Jonah changed the locks. Denise breathed out. I could hear the soft mechanical hum of the fan she slept with year-round. During our marriage, I had called it the world's least effective hurricane. "Walter," she said, "go home. Do you know where she is?" "I know she's safe." "Where?" "If she wanted you to know, she would have told you." I stared through the windshield at the pale rectangle where Mara's porch light should have been. That's a rotten thing to say before coffee. It's a rotten situation before coffee. Denise. Don't use that tone. What tone? The patient one. The one that says everybody else is acting up, and you're the designated adult. "I'm sitting in my truck with a mixer. That doesn't make you harmless." She hung up. For a moment, I considered calling back. Then I pictured Denise looking at the phone and letting it ring beside her. She had a gift for making an action feel like a deliberate insult. My phone buzzed. It was Ed. "Water's getting worse. No rush, though." Ed always said no rush when he meant the opposite. I pulled away from Mara's curb. There are moments people later identify as turning points, but while you're living them, you still have errands. A friend's utility room is flooding. Your gas tank is below a quarter. You need coffee, and every place with decent coffee is closed. At Ed's house, I shut off the water, drained the tank, and found the failed valve. Ed hovered behind me in a green robe, offering tools from a red plastic box he'd bought at a drugstore. "You need the little pincher thing, pliers?" "That's it." "I have pliers. You look pale. I'm kneeling beside a water heater at 6:30 in the morning. You usually look happier about it." I tightened the replacement fitting. Mara left Jonah. Ed lowered the flashlight until it shone directly into my eyes. "Point that somewhere useful." "Sorry." He aimed it at the wall. "She okay?" "I don't know. You call her?" "Yes." "She answer?" "No. Maybe she's working." That was when I remembered the garden center. I finished Ed's repair in 23 minutes, refused the cash he tried to push into my shirt pocket, and took a travel mug of coffee that tasted as if he had filtered it through a brown paper bag. Mara worked at Bellwether Garden and Supply on the south edge of town. The public entrance didn't open until 8, but deliveries came through the back lot starting before sunrise. I had been there once at that hour, years earlier, when her battery died. Mara had stood beside her car wearing an orange safety vest over pajamas because she kept emergency clothes at work, but had forgotten emergency pants. The loading gate was open. A flatbed truck idled beside stacks of bagged mulch, and 2 men in knit caps were unloading trays of winter pansies. I parked near the employee entrance and carried the mixer inside. A woman I recognized as Sheila, Mara's manager, stood at a high desk counting invoices. She was in her 50s, broad-shouldered, with silver hair cut so short it looked aerodynamic. When she saw me, her expression went carefully blank. "Morning, Walter." "Morning." Her eyes moved to the mixer. "You taking up baking?" "I've been told I need hobbies." "Try something quieter." "Is Mara here?" Sheila squared the papers on her desk. "She's receiving." "Can I see her?" "She's working." I know. Mara likes people to know she's working, especially when they arrive carrying appliances. I set the mixer on a stack of empty seed trays. I went to her house. Sheila's mouth tightened. How long has she been staying here? I asked. I didn't say she was. You didn't have to. Beyond the desk was a narrow metal staircase I had never noticed. It climbed beside the stockroom wall to a door with frosted glass. A warm line of light showed beneath it. Sheila stepped between me and the stairs. She's not in danger, she said. I didn't ask if she was in danger. No. You came in using your reasonable voice. That's generally how men like you avoid asking the question they're afraid of. Men like me? Polite ones. I heard a door open above us. Mara stood at the top of the staircase in work pants and an old blue sweater, her hair tied back with a rubber band. She looked exactly like herself until I noticed she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. Her gaze moved from me to the mixer. You fixed it, she said. It needed a new speed control plate. Of course it did. She came down slowly. Sheila touched her elbow as they passed, and Mara gave her a small nod. Up close, she looked tired, but not fragile. That surprised me. I had prepared myself for tears, bruises, hysteria, something obvious enough to tell me what kind of father to be. Instead, she picked up one of the invoices and examined it. You went to the house, she said. I did. Why? I was bringing you this. At dawn? I had to go to Ed's. Of course you did. She and her mother could make those 3 words sound exactly alike. I lowered my voice. Jonah said, You don't live there. I don't. He said you walked out. I did. He changed the locks. Yes. Where are your things? Mostly there. Why didn't you call me? Mara placed the invoice back on the desk, aligning its corners with the one beneath it. Then she looked at me. How long were you planning not to notice? I didn't know there was something to notice. Mara's mouth pulled to one side. Not quite a smile. That's my point. A forklift beeped outside. One of the men unloading pansies shouted something about a damaged pallet, and Sheila moved toward the loading door, though not before giving me a look that suggested the conversation had better remain civilized in her absence. I waited until she was gone. How long have you been sleeping here? 11 nights. In the office? There's a room upstairs. I saw the door. Then why did you ask? Because I'm trying not to assume. You've always been comfortable assuming I'm fine. That one got through. Mara picked up a clipboard and began checking boxes against an invoice. I recognized the gesture. Put something in her hands, give her a list, and she could build a wall without anybody noticing the construction. I called you Sunday, I said. You sent me a picture of a squirrel sitting on your grill. It had a hamburger bun. I saw that. You didn't answer. What response were you expecting? I don't know. Surprise, concern for the bun. She made a mark on the paper. I was busy. You could have said you moved out. You could have asked how I was instead of sending wildlife photography. It was one picture. It's not about the squirrel, Dad. No, apparently it's about everything except the squirrel. That nearly got a real smile. I saw it arrive and disappear. A delivery driver pushed through the swinging door carrying a manifest. He looked from Mara to me, sensed weather, and handed the paper to Sheila's empty desk. Need a signature? Mara signed it. You want us to hold the cracked trays? He asked. Yes, I'll come look. He left quickly. Mara tucked the clipboard beneath her arm. I'm working. I can see that. My shift ends at 2. I can come back. I didn't ask you to. You're my daughter. That has not historically prevented you from waiting for an invitation. I looked at the staircase. Can we talk upstairs? No. Why? Because it's where I'm living. I don't want you walking in and deciding it needs fixing. I haven't decided anything. You're holding a mixer you rebuilt without telling me. You asked me to repair it in March. I had to find a part. You had to remember it existed. There was no sensible answer to that. I had found the mixer behind a stack of paint cans in my garage the week before, when I went looking for a corded drill. I'd felt guilty enough to take it apart that night. Mara stared at the invoices as though she might find another father listed among the shipments. I'm sorry, I said. For the mixer, for taking so long. She looked at me then. You always apologize for the thing you know how to fix. Before I could answer, Sheila called Mara from the loading bay. Mara walked away with the clipboard, leaving me beside the seed trays. I should have gone home. That would have respected the boundary she had drawn. Instead, I carried the mixer to my truck, parked in the customer lot, and waited. I told myself I was giving her space. At 8, The front gates rolled open, and customers began arriving in fleece jackets to buy pumpkins and ask whether mums survive frost. I watched Mara move through the greenhouse, answering questions, redirecting deliveries, and climbing onto the back of the forklift when one of the pallets jammed. She seemed competent, brisk, and entirely alive. I had never seen her at work for more than 10 minutes. A man tried to return a dead fern he claimed had been defective for 6 months. Mara listened solemnly, asked whether he had watered it, and waited while he explained that ferns in nature did not require assistance. She gave him store credit. At 9:30, she came to my truck and knocked on the window. I lowered it. "Are you planning to sit here until 2?" I hadn't planned that far ahead. That is somehow both comforting and irritating. "I can leave. Why haven't you?" "Because if I leave, you might decide I don't care." She folded her arms against the cold. "And if you stay? You might decide I'm annoying. That decision came in years ago." I opened the passenger door. She looked at the mixer on the floor. "Do you want it?" "Of course I want it. Then I'll carry it up." "You're not going upstairs." "Fine. You carry it. My back hurts. Then I'll carry it." Mara sighed. "This is how you win arguments? You reduce everything to lifting. It's a useful skill. It's a mixer, Dad, not a fallen tree." She got in and shut the door. I handed her Ed's travel mug, which still held half an inch of cold coffee. She sniffed it. Did he make this with bark? Possibly roofing material. She set it in the cup holder. For a minute, we watched an employee arrange pumpkins by size. "Jonah's mother is staying at the house," I said. "I know." He said her apartment flooded. Her ceiling collapsed over the bedroom. She needed somewhere to go. "You didn't want her there?" Mara turned toward me slowly. "Is that what he told you?" "He didn't tell me anything except that you left. And you filled in the rest." I asked a question. "You asked it the way people ask if I kicked a dog." "I'm trying to understand." "No. You're trying to locate the unreasonable person. You think once you identify them, you can tighten a screw." I leaned back against the headrest. "Did you want Evelyn there?" "I wanted her safe. I offered to help pay for an extended stay place near her sister. I offered our guest room for a month." "What's wrong with the guest room? There is no guest room anymore." I waited. "Jonah turned it into an office last year," she said. "He said he needed a door he could close. So, where did Evelyn sleep?" "My pottery room." I pictured the small room at the back of the house. Plastic sheeting on the floor, shelves of unfinished bowls, a second-hand wheel by the window. Jonah called it the mud closet, even after Mara painted the walls yellow. "He moved your things? He and Aaron boxed them while I was working?" Aaron was Jonah's older brother, a man who could turn any favor into an occupation. Did Evelyn know? She thought I agreed. "What did Jonah say when you got home?" "That his mother needed us, and he knew I would understand." That sounds like him asking badly. "No, it sounds like him making sure I couldn't say no without becoming the woman who put his mother on the street." "Did you say no?" I asked how long she was staying. He said, "As long as family needs." "That's not an answer, thank you." The gratitude was sharp enough to cut. I remembered Mara calling me about Evelyn's apartment. I had been at the hardware store, comparing furnace filters. Mara said Jonah had made a decision without her. I told her emergency situations were hard on everybody. I said she was strong enough to get through a few inconvenient months. At the time, I thought I had settled her. Now I wondered why that had felt like an accomplishment. "I told you to be patient," I said. "Yes. I didn't know he had moved your pottery things. You didn't ask." I thought the problem was his mother needing a room. The problem was Jonah deciding what I would sacrifice and then accepting praise for helping. A woman pushed a cart past the truck with an ornamental cabbage balanced in the child's seat. She glanced at us and looked away. I rubbed my thumb over a crack in the steering wheel. "Where are the boxes?" "Basement." "Are they damaged?" "I haven't checked." "You need to get your things. I'm aware. I'll go with you." "No. Mara, he changed the locks. And if I bring my father, he gets to say I'm making it hostile. You're letting him decide what you can do after he locked you out?" "No. I'm deciding I don't want to walk into that house yet. He can't keep your belongings." "I know." "Then what are you waiting for?" She reached for the door handle. I heard myself say, "Why don't you stay with me?" Her hand stopped. "I have 2 bedrooms," I continued. "The back one's full of boxes, but I can clear it out. You'd have your own bathroom. You wouldn't have to sleep above a fertilizer warehouse. It's garden tools under the room, not fertilizer. That's the part you object to? I'm not moving in with you. Why not? Because in 3 days, I'd be making your coffee. And in a week, you'd ask if I knew where your electric bill was. And by next month, everybody would say how lucky I was to have a father who took me in. I make my own coffee. You microwave yesterday's. It saves time. It tastes like punishment. I tried to laugh, but she didn't. I'm not Jonah, I said. No, you don't tell me what to do. You just make it easier for me to do what you want. That's not fair. I arranged your birthday dinner. You offered. You asked what everybody was doing for your birthday until I offered. I was making conversation. You invited Uncle Ray to Thanksgiving after I told you there wasn't room. He would have been alone. So I found another chair. I changed the table. I made more food. I helped. You brought ice. People need ice. She opened the door, then remained seated with one foot on the pavement. I love you, she said. That's why this is hard to say. You've never demanded much from me. You've just made being needed feel like the safest way to be close to you. I stared at the ornamental cabbage as it rolled toward the register. You could have told me. I tried. When? Every time I said I was tired and you told me I was strong. The automatic doors opened and closed behind shoppers. Somewhere in the greenhouse, a cart toppled with a metallic crash, followed by Sheila shouting that nothing with roots was allowed to die until after inventory. Mara finally stepped out. I have to work. What do you want me to do? Right now? Yes. Go home. And later? I don't know yet. I nodded, though every useful part of me resisted. She bent down to look through the open passenger door. Leave the mixer with Sheila. I thought I wasn't allowed upstairs. You aren't. Then where are you going to put it? That is a problem I would like the privilege of solving. I carried it inside and placed it beside Sheila's desk. She looked at me, then at the mixer. Progress? She asked. I've been dismissed. She gets off at 2, so I've heard. Outside, I had just reached my truck when my phone rang. Jonah. I let it ring twice before answering. Morning, he said, his voice warmer than it had been on the porch. I wanted to apologize. I was caught off guard. All right. There was a pause. Jonah was waiting for me to make it easier. Did you find her? He asked. Across the lot, through the greenhouse glass, I could see Mara lifting a tray of pansies onto a cart. She looked toward me, but gave no sign she could see who was calling. Yes, I said. Jonah released a breath. Good. Then maybe you can talk some sense into her. That sounds like a job she didn't ask me to do. Jonah was quiet. Then he gave a short laugh. Okay, I deserve that. I watched Mara wheel the pansies away from the glass. Where is she? He asked. At work. I know she's at work. Where is she staying? You told me she didn't tell you. So she told you? No. That was technically true when I arrived, though by then I had worked it out. I didn't enjoy using precision to mislead somebody. Denise said that was because I preferred to call it accuracy. Jonah lowered his voice. Walter, I'm not asking you to betray her. I need to know she's somewhere safe. She is. And how do you know that? I saw her. Another pause. How did she look? Tired? Did she say anything about me? Yes. He waited. I let him. What did she say? That you moved Evelyn into her pottery room without asking. I didn't have the luxury of organizing a committee. My mother's ceiling came down. She said she offered other options. She offered to put my mother in a motel, an extended stay place. You say motel, she says extended stay. It's still my mother sitting alone in a room that locks from the outside. She also offered the house for a month. Jonah breathed into the phone. You got all that from one conversation? We covered a surprising amount between the dead fern and the pansies. I don't know what that means. It doesn't matter. He sighed. Mara knew Mom might need longer. She wanted an expiration date while we were standing under a hole in the ceiling. That sounds like Mara. Yes, because she has to control everything. I looked through the glass again. Mara was talking to one of the drivers, pointing toward a pallet that had been left in the wrong place. A minute earlier, Jonah would have called her dependable. Now she was controlling. I'm not getting in the middle, I said. You showed up on my porch at dawn with a mixer and then went looking for her. She's my daughter. She's my wife. The words hung there. Both of us thought they should settle something. Jonah spoke first. I love her. I didn't say you didn't. She's making a permanent decision because we had one bad night. Did you change the locks after one bad night? She took her keys off the hook. Did you change the locks? I didn't know who she might give them to. I sat up straighter. What does that mean? It means she was angry. I was protecting the house. From Mara? From the situation. The situation. A useful phrase, big enough to carry anything and empty enough to be dropped without a sound. I'm not telling you where she's staying, I said. Then tell her to call me. You can tell her yourself. She blocked me. That was new. Why? I kept trying to talk. How many times? I don't know, Walter. How many? Enough that she blocked me. A customer knocked on my hood and pointed toward the parking lines. I had taken up part of the space beside me. I raised a hand in apology. Jonah's voice softened. I'm asking for help. That's all. I'll tell her you called. Thank you. I hung up and moved my truck between the lines. The drive home took 20 minutes. I spent all 20 arranging conversations with Mara in which I said the correct thing early enough to change the outcome. In one version, I apologized without defending myself. In another, I explained that love made people clumsy, and she understood. That version was especially satisfying, which should have warned me it was useless. My house looked different when I walked in, not neglected. I wasn't living among towers of newspapers or eating beans from a can over the sink. The counters were clean, the bills were paid. I owned 3 kinds of vacuum attachment and knew what they did, but there were traces of Mara everywhere once I looked for them. The lamp beside my chair had a brighter bulb because she said I was going to ruin my eyes. The basket near the door held the gloves she bought after I complained that my old pair smelled like gasoline. A yellow note inside the pantry read, "Check date before eating," written after an unfortunate jar of mustard. I opened the refrigerator. 4 covered containers sat on the middle shelf. Mara had brought them Sunday evening, set them inside while I was in the garage, and left before I came back in. I had called after her, but she said she was late. I hadn't asked where she needed to be. The phone rang while I was holding a container of chicken soup. Denise said, "Did you go home?" "Yes." "Good. Are you going to tell me what happened?" "No. You know, that's a very efficient way to be involved while claiming you're not." I learned from a professional. "I'm coming over. I'm not dressed. I've seen you in a robe." "Yes, and then we got divorced." Denise lived in a townhouse 12 minutes away. I hadn't been inside for nearly a year, though we saw each other at family dinners and exchanged birthday cards selected to imply good manners rather than affection. She opened the door, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt that said Raid Band Books. Her gray blonde hair was clipped on top of her head, and she had a smear of toothpaste near her chin. "You could have waited until I finished getting ready. You could have told me Mara left her husband." Denise turned and walked toward the kitchen. "Coffee?" "No, I wasn't offering you any. I followed her." Her kitchen table was covered in envelopes, catalogs, and a half-finished jigsaw puzzle of a lighthouse during a storm. Denise had always liked pictures of places sensible people would evacuate. She moved a chair full of laundry onto the floor. "Sit." "I'm fine. That's the family motto." I sat. Denise poured coffee and leaned against the counter. She looked tired too. Apparently I was the only person in the family who had been sleeping. "How much did Mara tell you?" I asked. "Enough." "Did you know she was staying at Bellwether?" "I knew Sheila offered her the room." "And you thought that was acceptable?" "I thought it was Mara's decision. There's a difference between respecting a decision and leaving somebody above a stockroom. There's also a difference between offering help and making her grateful to you." I looked toward the puzzle. Several pieces of black ocean sat in a pile beside Denise's elbow. "What did Jonah do?" "You keep asking for an incident." There was an incident. There were hundreds. He'd invite people for dinner and tell her an hour before. He'd volunteer her to drive Evelyn places. He'd answer questions addressed to her. If she corrected him, he'd say she was embarrassing him. "Did you see that?" "I saw some of it." "So did you." "I saw them tease each other." "You saw what was comfortable to see." My chair creaked when I shifted. Denise sipped her coffee. "A month ago, Mara told me she thought Jonah liked her best when other people were watching. That sentence did not fit the man I knew. Jonah touched Mara's back when they moved through crowded rooms. He thanked her after dinners. He told people he would fall apart without her, especially that last one. "Why didn't she leave sooner?" I asked. Denise gave me a long look. "I didn't mean it that way. You did. You just didn't like hearing it out loud. I'm trying to understand the timeline. She wasn't assembling a case, Walter. She was living with somebody she loved. Does she still love him? That's also not your question to ask me. What am I allowed to ask? How you can help?" She told me to go home. Then apparently you already have your answer. My phone buzzed on the table. Jonah had sent a photograph of water spread across the laundry room floor. "Sorry to bother you. Washer's leaking. Do you know anyone?" Denise read my face. "What? Nothing." "Is it Mara?" "Jonah's washing machine." She closed her eyes. "Of course it is. He asked if I know anybody." "You do." "Yes." "You're anybody." "He's got water on the floor. The shut-off valve is behind the washer. He owns hands. I'm not punishing him with property damage. Nobody asked you to punish him. It'll take 15 minutes. It will never take 15 minutes." I stood. Denise picked up one of the loose puzzle pieces and dropped it into the box. "He knows how to call a repair company. I can't charge him for something I can fix in 15 minutes. There it is. What? The safest way to be close to you." I left before she could fit the sentence more neatly into Mara's. When I returned to the house, Evelyn met me at the side door, holding 3 bath towels against her chest. She was a small woman with carefully penciled eyebrows and a habit of dressing as if the mail carrier might photograph her. That morning, she wore navy slacks, pearl earrings, and pink rubber gloves. "I told him not to bother you," she said. "It's no bother, that's what Mara always says." She looked embarrassed the moment the name left her mouth. The laundry room sat off the kitchen. Water had reached the baseboard, but not the hardwood hall. Jonah was using a mop that still had the cardboard band around its head. "I bought it yesterday," he said. I turned off the supply valves and pulled the washer forward. The drain hose had jumped loose from the standpipe. No cracked pump, no failed seal. A 10-minute repair if nobody talked to me. Jonah talked to me. "You see how it is?" he said. "Everything's happening at once." The hose wasn't secured. Mara knew it had been rattling. I fastened it with a clamp from my toolbox. Evelyn crouched to collect the soaked towels. "I can wash these at the laundromat. Mom, please don't start." I was only saying, "You don't have to go anywhere." "I didn't know Mara still used that room," Evelyn said to me. "Jonah told me she was finished with the pottery." Jonah stopped mopping. "She barely touched it in a year," he said. "That isn't finished?" I said. The basement door stood open behind him. On the landing below, I could see 3 cardboard boxes labeled Mara, Clay, in thick black marker. The bottom box had begun drinking water from the laundry room. I went down, lifted it, and felt the damp cardboard bend beneath my hands. Jonah followed me. "It's just supplies. It's hers." Together we moved the boxes to the workbench. When I straightened, Jonah was watching me with a wounded impatience I recognized from his porch. "She leaves," he said, "and everybody else gets stuck cleaning up the mess." Above us, Evelyn wrung water from a towel into the sink. I looked at Jonah. She didn't cause the leak. You know what I mean? For the first time, I was beginning to. "What mess?" I asked. Jonah spread his hands. "All of it." "That's not an answer." "The house. Mom, work, people calling me like I know what to tell them. Tell them the truth. I don't know what that is yet." The answer was better than I expected, which irritated me. I wanted him to make this easy by being entirely wrong. He picked up one of Mara's boxes and set it farther from the wall. The cardboard sagged, and something ceramic knocked softly inside. "I want my wife home," he said. "Why?" His head jerked back. "What kind of question is that?" "A direct one. Because I love her." "What do you love about her?" He stared at me. It was an unfair question. If somebody had asked me what I loved about Denise during the last year of our marriage, I might have listed the things she did before I found the words for who she was. Love gets tangled in routine. You don't realize how much until the routine leaves with its own suitcase. Jonah glanced toward the stairs. "She makes things feel steady." There it was. "She listens," he continued. "She knows when something's off. She can walk into a room where everybody's arguing and somehow get people laughing. All true. She's my best friend. Does she know that?" "Of course she knows." "That's not what I asked." His face hardened. "You think because she told you one side over a loading dock, you understand our marriage? No. Then stop talking like you do." He was right about that. I didn't like it, but he was. I crouched beside the wet box. The bottom had softened enough that moving it again would spill the contents. A roll of paper towels sat on the workbench. I tore off a long strip and pressed it against the cardboard. "What are you doing?" Jonah asked, keeping the bottom attached. "I can do that, then get a plastic tote." He found one beneath the basement stairs. We cut the wet cardboard down the sides and lifted the contents into it piece by piece. Jars of glaze, a bag of wooden tools, 2 folded aprons, a bundle of wire, several small clay forms wrapped in newspaper. One was a bowl the size of my palm, uneven around the rim. Someone had pressed a fern into the wet clay, leaving a delicate pattern under the green glaze. I remembered Mara giving me a blue mug she had made in that room. The handle was too small for my fingers, so I kept pencils in it. I had called it a fine pencil cup. She had gone quiet for the rest of dinner. At the bottom of the box lay a damp paper bag of powdered clay. It had turned into a brick. Jonah picked it up. Trash? Set it aside. It's ruined. It's not yours. He dropped it into the tote harder than necessary. Evelyn appeared at the top of the stairs. Walter, do you want some eggs? No, thank you. You haven't eaten. I'm fine. She gave a thin smile. That phrase is starting to make me nervous. Jonah climbed past her carrying the empty cardboard. Mom, don't worry about breakfast. I'm not worried. I'm offering. You don't need to take care of everybody. Evelyn watched him disappear into the kitchen. Then she looked down at me. He says that when he means I'm doing it wrong, she said. I wasn't sure how to answer. She came down 2 steps, still wearing the pink gloves. I could go to Dorothy's, I told him that. Your sister? Yes. She has a pull-out sofa. I thought you and Dorothy couldn't be in the same house for more than a weekend. We can't. That doesn't mean we've stopped attempting it. Jonah said you needed to stay here. Jonah believes discomfort is only real if it's his. From the kitchen, he called, Mom, I'm talking to Walter. About what? Your excellent hearing. She came the rest of the way down. Up close, her penciled eyebrows made her look permanently surprised. I never asked for Mara's room, she said. He showed it to me with clean sheets already on the bed. There was a bed in there, an air mattress. He said Mara hadn't used the room in ages. She was using it. I understand that now. Did he tell you she offered an extended stay place? Evelyn hesitated. He said she wanted to put me in a motel by the interstate. That may have been the same place. It may have been described differently. Jonah came back to the basement door. Mom, you don't have to defend yourself. I'm not. You're acting like you forced Mara out. I'm explaining that I didn't. No one said you did. The 3 of us stood there, each holding a different version of the conversation. I closed the lid on the plastic tote. This needs to go somewhere dry, I said. I'll put it in the garage, Jonah replied. No, leave it here on the bench. Why? Because if it moves again, Mara should move it. He laughed without humor. You've known about this for 4 hours, and suddenly you're her representative. I'm not representing anybody. Good. Then help me get her to sit down with me. I can tell her you want to talk. She knows I want to talk. She blocked me. How many times did you call? Why does everybody keep asking that? Evelyn folded her gloved hands. How many? Mom? Was it more than 10? He looked at the ceiling. Evelyn said, Good Lord. I was trying to save my marriage. Did she answer the first 10? I asked. She sent a message saying she needed time. And then? I explained why time was the worst thing for us. 47, Evelyn said. Jonah frowned. What? That's my guess. It wasn't 47. How many? He took out his phone, tapped twice, and stopped. That isn't the point. Evelyn looked at me. It was at least 47. Despite everything, a laugh pushed against the back of my throat. I covered it with a cough. Jonah noticed. I'm glad this is entertaining. It isn't. You and Mara have that in common. You both stay calm until the other person looks crazy. That accusation belonged to more than one person in the room. I packed my tools. At the side door, Jonah followed me onto the driveway. Tell her Mom can stay in the front room, he said. We'll put the pottery room back the way it was. The front room doesn't have a door. It's temporary. Ask Evelyn what she wants. I know what she wants. She just told me she could go to Dorothy's. She'd be miserable there. She doesn't sound happy here. He rubbed the back of his neck. Fine. Mom goes to Dorothy's. Mara gets the room. I'll even help set it up. Even? You know what I mean. I did. Will you change the lock back? His hand dropped. I'll give Mara a key. To her own house. Our house. Then why can only one of you enter it? He looked toward the front windows, where Evelyn had started folding the wet towels over the backs of dining chairs. She left in the middle of a fight, he said. I didn't know what she was going to do. She came back? What? After she left. Did she come back and find the lock changed? Jonah's eyes moved away from mine. She didn't tell you that? No. Then maybe you don't know as much as you think. He went inside. At 1:58, I was parked outside Bellwether again. Mara came out at 2:16 with the repaired mixer on a rolling plant cart. Sheila followed, carrying Mara's lunch bag and wearing the expression of a woman prepared to use either item as a weapon. I told you to go home, Mara said. I did. And then? Your husband's washer leaked. Mara stopped pushing the cart. Sheila closed her eyes briefly. I'm going back inside before I say something expensive. She handed Mara the lunch bag and left. You went to the house, Mara said. He called. Of course he called. There was water on the floor. Did he forget where towels are kept? The drain hose came loose. The same hose I asked him to clamp in July? Yes. She nodded as if a private bet had been settled. And he called you. He asked if I knew anybody. And you got to feel needed by a man who threw me out. He didn't throw you out. The words came automatically. I regretted them before the final consonant. Mara's face went still. He asked you to leave, I said. That's what I meant. He told me to stay somewhere else until I remembered what marriage meant. And you went? I went to Denise's for the night. The next morning, I came home before work. My key didn't fit. He said you took your keys off the hook, my spare keys. I took them because they were mine. I had my house key in my purse. Did he let you in? He opened the door about 6 inches. He said we could talk when I was ready to apologize to his mother. Was Evelyn there? She was asleep. Did you tell him you needed your work clothes? He brought me a garbage bag. A gust rattled the plastic roof panels of the greenhouse. I could hear cars passing on the highway beyond the trees. What was in it? I asked. 1 pair of pants, 2 shirts, underwear, my toothbrush, 3 different left shoes. 3 left shoes, he said he packed in a hurry. Mara, I called 30 minutes later. He didn't answer. Then he sent me a message saying he loved me too much to keep enabling my behavior. I looked down at the mixer. He says he wants you home. I know. He says Evelyn can go to Dorothy's and you can have the pottery room back. Mara gave me a tired smile. That was fast. He asked me to tell you. No, he asked you to sell it to me. I'm not selling anything. You led with his concessions. He's trying. Did he give you a key for me? No. Did he apologize? Not to me. Then what is he trying? I gripped the cart handle. I found your pottery boxes in the basement. Her eyes sharpened. You went through them? The bottom one got wet. We transferred everything into a plastic tote. We? Jonah helped. You touched my things with him. They were sitting in water. Thank you for moving them. The words were sincere. That made the next ones worse. You still should not have been there. I wasn't going to leave them soaking. You cannot fix your way out of listening to me. I know. No, you know how to say that. She took the handle from me. The cart rolled an inch before I let go. What do you want me to do? I asked. Stop helping Jonah reach me. He's your husband, and I'm your daughter. That doesn't mean I should automatically decide he's a monster. I didn't ask you to. Then what are you asking? To let one thing stay broken long enough for you to see who keeps breaking it. She pushed the mixer toward the employee entrance. I don't know how to do that, I said. Mara stopped but didn't turn around. I know, she said. That's why I didn't call. She disappeared through the employee door, pushing the mixer ahead of her. I stood beside my empty truck with my hands hanging uselessly at my sides. For most of my life, doing nothing had come naturally whenever feelings became inconvenient. That afternoon, it required concentration. I drove home without calling Mara, Jonah, Denise, Evelyn, or anybody else who might give me an assignment. I passed a man stopped beside the road with his hood raised and almost turned around. At home, the kitchen faucet dripped twice after I shut it off. I left it alone. I heated Mara's chicken soup in the microwave and ate at the table instead of over the sink. It was good. Lemon, rice, too much pepper. I reached for my phone 3 times and stopped. At 4:30, the Hale family group conversation came alive. Denise had named it Hale Weather during an argument about Thanksgiving. It included me, Mara, Jonah, Denise, my brother Ray, Ray's wife Linda, 2 adult cousins, and Evelyn, whose last name wasn't Hale, but who knew how to use reaction icons more aggressively than any of us. Jonah had written a long message. I wanted everyone to hear this from me before misunderstandings spread. Mara and I are going through a difficult season. She has chosen to stay elsewhere while she decides what she wants. I love my wife and remain committed to our marriage. Please respect her need for space and avoid taking sides. Our autumn supper is still planned for the first Saturday in November. I hope very much that Mara will be home by then. A heart appeared beneath it from Linda. Then Ray wrote, "Sorry to hear this, son. Marriage takes work." Evelyn's name appeared, disappeared, and appeared again without producing a message. I read Jonah's words a second time. Every sentence was factually close enough to stand upright. Together, they leaned in one direction. Mara had chosen to leave. Jonah had remained. Jonah loved. Jonah committed. Jonah requested kindness on her behalf. Denise typed, deleted, then typed again. Perhaps the people involved should be allowed to speak for themselves. Jonah replied immediately. I agree completely. Ray sent 2 praying hands even though he had not entered a church voluntarily since 1998. My phone rang. Walter, Ray said. What the hell's going on? I know about as much as you do. That can't be true. You live 10 minutes away. Distance isn't knowledge. You've been reading greeting cards. Jonah and Mara had a fight. About Evelyn? I sat up. Who told you that? Jonah called last week. Said Mara was having trouble adjusting. Last week, he needed to talk. You know, man to man. Ray used that phrase whenever he wanted permission to repeat something confidential. What did he say? That Evelyn needed a place after the ceiling thing, and Mara made it clear she wasn't welcome. That isn't what happened. I'm just telling you what he told me. Mara offered to pay for another place. So, she did want Evelyn out. She offered their home for a month. What happens after a month? Put the old woman on the sidewalk? Dorothy has a pull-out sofa. Dorothy's mean. She's not mean. She's loud and disappointed. She told Linda her pot roast tasted like wet insulation. It did. That's not the point. I rubbed my eyes. Mara didn't abandon Evelyn. Who said abandon? You were about to. No, I wasn't. You were winding up. Ray went quiet, offended by the accuracy. He said, Jonah sounded broken up. Mara is broken up too. Have you talked to her? Yes. And it's their marriage. That was my calm answer, my respectable answer. The one that let me step away without lying. Ray grunted. Well, somebody needs to get them in a room. They're adults. Adults are just children with car payments. Don't say that to either of them. I'm saying it to you. After we hung up, 3 more hearts had appeared beneath Jonah's message. One belonged to a cousin who had not spoken to Mara in 8 months, but had attended enough holiday meals to know she made the mashed potatoes. Mara's name appeared at the bottom of the screen. She is typing. It stayed there nearly a minute. Then it vanished. A notification followed. Mara left the conversation. I set my phone face down. It rang almost immediately. I expected Denise, but it was Evelyn. I hope I'm not interrupting dinner, she said. I'm eating soup. Did Mara make it? Yes. I thought so. She sounded far away, though I could hear the dryer turning behind her. What can I do for you? I asked. Nothing. That may be why I called. I waited. She said, Did you see Jonah's message? I did. He showed it to me before he sent it. What did you tell him? That I wasn't comfortable being mentioned indirectly. He didn't mention you. He mentioned the argument without saying what it was about. That makes me the invisible old woman standing in the middle. You're not that old. I'll be 70 next spring. That's not old enough to be invisible. Tell that to a waiter. The dryer buzzer sounded. Evelyn lowered her voice. I didn't know he called Ray. Neither did I. He called Aaron too. Aaron called me to say none of this was my fault, which is how I learned there was a version in which people thought it was. Did you ask Jonah? He said, family deserves context. Whose context? Yes. I heard the dryer door open, then clothing being dropped into a basket. Walter, would you take me to lunch tomorrow? You're asking a retired man if he's free for lunch. You could be repairing something against its will. Where? Not here. We agreed on Connolly's Diner at 11. After she hung up, the group conversation had moved on to reassurance. Linda wrote that no marriage was perfect. Ray said people gave up too easily these days. Jonah thanked everyone for supporting both of them. Mara called before I could decide whether to answer any of it. Did Uncle Ray call you? She asked. Yes. He left me a voicemail. What did he say? That he and Aunt Linda love me, that marriage is about compromise, and that Evelyn is vulnerable right now. I told him you offered other arrangements. Why is he involved at all? Jonah called him last week. She went silent. Did you know that? I asked. No. He says family deserves context. What context did he give? That you made Evelyn feel unwelcome. I cooked her dinner the first 4 nights she was there. I know. Do you? Yes. How? I had no answer that didn't make the point for her. I knew because she had just told me. Mara exhaled slowly. 7 people have called or texted since Jonah sent that message. What are they saying? Nothing openly cruel. That's the clever part. They're worried. They hope I'm making decisions from love instead of anger. They're reminding me Jonah is hurting. He is hurting. I know he's hurting. I didn't mean I am not confused about whether he has feelings, Dad. I stood and carried my soup bowl to the sink. The faucet gave another soft drip. What do you want me to say to them? The truth? Which part? That he changed the locks. That's private. He told Uncle Ray I abandoned his displaced mother. He shouldn't have done that. But he did. I can tell Ray his version is incomplete. That's not the same thing. I'm not going to broadcast the details of your marriage. Jonah already did. He just left out the details that made him look bad. I rinsed the bowl. I'm trying not to take sides. Neutrality is Jonah's story with better manners. That's a good line, but it doesn't make this simple. No, it makes it uncomfortable. I said I would tell people you didn't abandon Evelyn. Thank you. She did not sound grateful. I put the bowl in the drying rack. Are you all right up there? Up where? The room. You told him? No, I didn't tell anyone. Then don't call it up there. It sounds like you're trying to prove you know. I was asking if you're comfortable. There's a bed. There's heat. Sheila brought me a second lamp. Do you have a kitchen? There's a hot plate. You can't live on a hot plate. Millions of people would be fascinated to learn that. I have a stove. She said nothing. I'm not asking you to move in, I added. Good. You can come for dinner. You microwave soup. I can order something, maybe later. It was the first offer she had not rejected outright. After we hung up, I opened the family conversation and typed, Mara did not abandon anyone. There is more to this situation, and people should stop pressuring her. I read it several times. It felt accurate. It also felt like I was standing behind a curtain, describing a fire without mentioning who had struck the match. I sent it anyway. Ray replied with a thumbs up. Linda added, absolutely no pressure, followed by another heart. Jonah called within a minute. I saw your message, he said. Good, I appreciate it. You do? Of course. People need to back off and let us handle this. You called Ray. I needed somebody to talk to. You gave him the impression Mara refused to help your mother. I told him what happened. You told him your version. We all have a version. Did you tell him you changed the locks? Jonah's voice cooled. Did Mara ask you to announce that? No. Then maybe don't use her pain to win points against me. I'm not trying to win anything. Good. Because that message helped. It showed her you're not joining some campaign against me. I looked at the words I had sent. He was right. My attempt at balance had protected him more than it protected her. I'm having lunch with Evelyn tomorrow, I said. Why? She asked me. What does she want? I assume lunch. She's upset. Don't let her make some dramatic decision because Mara pulled her into this. Evelyn called me. Mara has been talking to her. I don't think she has. You don't know everything. That again. He softened his voice. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted. Mom's acting like she needs to leave. Mara won't answer me. Everybody's judging something they don't understand. You invited everybody to supper. It's our tradition. Mara cooks that supper. I cook. You carve meat. That counts. It doesn't count as cooking. He laughed, and for a second he sounded like the Jonah I knew, the man who once burned a tray of dinner rolls and carried them to the table with a fire extinguisher. I miss her, he said. The humor left his voice so suddenly I believed him. She thinks I only miss what she does. That's not true. What do you miss? The way she rubs her foot against mine when we watch television. How she sings the same line of a song because she never learns the rest. She puts the grocery cart back, even in the rain. She leaves cabinet doors open and denies it while they're still open behind her. Those were not services. They were Mara. For the first time all day, Jonah sounded less like a man defending a position than a husband who had woken up, reaching for someone who was gone. Tell her that, I said. She blocked me. Write it down. She'll say I'm manipulating her. Are you? No. He answered too quickly. Or maybe I had started distrusting the speed of every answer. I made one decision without her, he said. A bad decision. Then I got angry and changed the lock. I know how that sounds. It sounds bad because it was bad. I know, but 12 years should matter more than one bad week. It wasn't 1 week to her. Then why didn't she say something? I closed my eyes. She did, I said. When? I thought about furnace filters, Thanksgiving chairs, a pottery room painted yellow, all the times you told her what she meant instead. He went silent. I waited for anger. What came was quieter. She's been talking about me with you for less than a day, he said, and you already think you know my marriage better than I do. I don't. Then stop helping her leave. The call ended. My phone remained in my hand. On the family conversation, another message appeared from Jonah. Thank you, Walter. Completely agree. Mara deserves space, patience, and love from all of us. 3 hearts appeared beneath his words. The kitchen faucet dripped again. This time I reached for the wrench under the sink. Then I stopped, closed the cabinet, and listened to it. The drip came every 11 seconds. I counted until 83, lost track, and started again. By morning, the sink held less than a teaspoon of water. Nothing was being damaged, no emergency existed. Still, every time I passed the kitchen, I heard the faucet reminding me that I could make it stop. At 10:45, I arrived at Connolly's diner and found Evelyn already in a booth with a glass of iced tea and 3 sugar packets arranged in a row. You're early, I said. So are you. I'm less early. That's not a virtue. She wore a rust-colored jacket and a silk scarf printed with horses. Her eyebrows were a little darker than the day before. I sat across from her. How's the laundry room? Dry? Jonah mopped it twice after you left. Good. He said you made him feel incompetent. I repaired a hose. You know it's never about the hose. A waitress brought coffee without asking. I knew her face but not her name, which meant she knew mine and had decided not to punish me for the imbalance. Evelyn stirred another sugar packet into her tea. Jonah doesn't know I'm meeting you, she said. I'm not comfortable keeping secrets. Neither am I. That's why I'm telling you. That's still a secret with a better introduction. She smiled. I see why Denise divorced you. Most people wait until dessert. I never liked the way you two spoke to each other. You and your husband threw dinner rolls during an anniversary party. 1 dinner roll. Leonard threw it. I returned it. The waitress came back. Evelyn ordered oatmeal, bacon, and rye toast. I ordered eggs. When we were alone again, she put both hands around her tea. I'm going to Dorothy's, she said. Does Dorothy know? She says she does. That's promising. I called her last night. She said I can have the pull-out sofa until my apartment is repaired. How long will that be? 3 weeks, maybe 4. And you want me to tell Jonah? No. I want you to help me load my things on Saturday. I can do that. You didn't ask why Jonah won't. Why won't he? I haven't told him yet. I leaned back. Evelyn held up 1 finger. Before you start, I intend to tell him myself. I simply don't want to ask his permission while I'm doing it. You don't need his permission. Intellectually, I know that. Emotionally, I raised him. The waitress set down our plates. Evelyn waited until she was gone. Jonah can make concern feel like a locked door, she said. He'll say Dorothy's sofa is bad for my back. He'll say the neighborhood is too far from my doctor. He'll remind me that Dorothy and I once stopped speaking over a bundt pan. What happened to the pan? It was mine. That doesn't explain what happened. It explains everything relevant. She cut a strip of bacon into exact squares. I'm not trying to blame my son, she said. Mara could have spoken to me. She thought you knew. She avoided me. She was angry. I was embarrassed. I had clothing hanging from her drying rack and my denture cup beside her pottery tools. Do you think I enjoyed feeling like an invasion? No. She was polite. That made it worse. She asked if the air mattress needed more padding. She brought me tea. Then she closed herself in the bathroom and cried with the faucet running. I put down my fork. You heard her? The walls are thin. Did you say anything? No. Why? I told myself a woman deserves privacy when she's crying. That sounds reasonable? It was cowardly. Evelyn looked toward the front window. Cars moved through the intersection, their tires hissing over damp pavement. I should have asked what my son had done, she said. Instead, I waited for Mara to make me comfortable enough to ask. I had no right to reassure her, she continued. Jonah told me she had stopped doing pottery. He said she wanted the room cleared anyway. When she came home and saw the boxes, I thanked her for making space. What did she say? She said, apparently I did. I thought she was making a joke. That sounds like Mara. Yes. Her jokes get sharper when nobody's listening. Evelyn spread butter on her toast. The next night, I heard them arguing. Jonah kept saying, "This is my mother," Mara said, "and this is my home." He told her not to make him choose. He already had. That's what she said. For a while, we ate. "Did Mara tell you about the extended stay place?" I asked. Not directly. Jonah told me she found some roadside motel because she didn't want me in the house. It has small kitchens. It's near Dorothy. I looked it up this morning. And? It's nicer than Dorothy's. Most roadside ditches are quieter than Dorothy's. Evelyn smiled, then covered her mouth because she was chewing. "I can pay for it myself," she said. "That isn't the issue." Jonah made it sound as if accepting anything but his house would mean admitting Mara was right. About what? That he uses generosity like a flag. He plants it in other people's yards. That sounded rehearsed. "You've been thinking about this," I said. "I've been awake. So have I." She glanced at me. "The group message? The faucet. Is it leaking badly? No. Then why haven't you fixed it? I'm experimenting with personal growth. How's that going?" "I hate it." She laughed hard enough to make the silverware jump. When the check arrived, Evelyn took it before I could. "I invited you. I can buy lunch, so can I." We each held one end of the paper. "This is absurd," I said. "That has never stopped a Hale. You're not a Hale." "Exactly. Release the check." I did. Outside, beside her car, she touched my sleeve. "Don't tell Mara I'm leaving because of her." "Why not?" "Because I'm not. I'm leaving because I prefer Dorothy's cruelty in the open. She should know you don't blame her. She should hear that from me. Are you going to call?" Evelyn looked uneasy. "You can have boundaries too," I said. "Is that what this family is calling avoidance now?" "No. I think we still call that respect when women do it." She gave me a sharp look, then laughed once. "I'll call her," she said, "after I tell Jonah." I drove home and sat in the driveway for several minutes before going inside. The faucet was still dripping. I put my toolbox on the kitchen counter, but did not open it. At 3:12, Mara texted. "Did Evelyn ask you to lunch?" I wrote. "She did." 3 dots appeared. "Is she okay?" "She's moving to Dorothy's Saturday." The 3 dots came back, vanished, then returned. "Did you convince her?" "No." "Did Jonah?" "He doesn't know yet." That produced a full minute of nothing. Finally, Mara wrote, "He'll say I made her leave." I typed, "Then I'll tell people you didn't." I almost added, "if they ask." I erased it before sending. Mara responded with a single word. "Okay." At 5, another message arrived. "Dinner? Bring something from Lynn's." "Sheila eats at 6 and hates mushrooms." I stared at it long enough that she sent another. "This is not a hostage negotiation. I ordered enough Chinese food for 4 adults because moderation has never survived contact with a takeout menu." Sheila met me at the employee entrance and examined the bags. "You brought soup, 2 kinds. Rice, 2 kinds. Egg rolls, 12. There are 3 of us. I don't know what your appetite is. My appetite isn't a logging camp." She took 1 bag and led me upstairs. The room above the stockroom was larger than I expected and sadder than Mara had described. It held a narrow bed, a metal wardrobe, a table with 1 folding chair, and a small television that looked old enough to receive weather reports from the Soviet Union. The repaired mixer sat on the floor beside a cardboard box of dishes. Mara had placed the woman-shaped rosemary planter near the window. Its leaves leaned toward the glass. The lopsided planter was downstairs in the greenhouse, she told me. It had been losing soil in Sheila's office. "You can say it," Mara said. "Say what?" "That this isn't suitable. I was going to say the ceiling's lower than I expected. It's suitable for not being locked out." She unfolded 2 more chairs. We ate around the small table, passing containers over the mixer because there wasn't room anywhere else. Sheila told me how Mara once chased a raccoon out of the greenhouse with a leaf blower. Mara claimed the leaf blower had merely been available. "The raccoon made a choice," she said. "It flew 6 feet, Sheila replied. "It made an airborne choice." For 20 minutes, nobody discussed Jonah. Mara laughed with her whole face. I had forgotten the small line that appeared between her eyebrows when she tried not to. Then Sheila gathered her containers. "I'm going downstairs," she said. "I have inventory." "At 6 at night?" I asked. "No, I have the instinct to leave before a family conversation." After she closed the door, Mara pushed rice around her plate. "Evelyn texted me," she said. What did she say? That she's sorry she took my room. Did you answer? I said she didn't take it. Jonah gave it away. That's accurate. She hasn't responded. She's probably telling him about Dorothy. Mara looked toward the rosemary plant. He'll stop her. She has a car. That isn't what I mean. I knew. She asked me to help Saturday, I said. I will, if she still wants me to. Mara nodded. I cleared empty containers into a bag. You can't stay here forever. I know. What are you thinking? She rubbed a thumb over the pale line where her wedding ring had been. There's a branch in Cedar Ridge looking for an operations manager. Cedar Ridge was 3 hours away. You applied? Sheila recommended me. I have an interview Friday. The room seems smaller. Were you going to tell me? I just did. You don't have to move 3 hours away to prove a point. Her eyes lifted. I heard myself and stopped. Mara waited. That came out wrong, I said. It came out familiar. Do you want the job? I want to know I could take it. That isn't the same. No. But it's a start. Below us, a forklift gave one warning beep and fell silent. I looked at the narrow bed, the hot plate, and my mother's mixer sitting on the floor because there was nowhere to put it. I had spent the past 2 days worrying that Mara had nowhere to go. It had not occurred to me that she might go somewhere I couldn't follow. What would make you stay? I asked. Mara looked at me for a long moment. Don't make that my job too, she said. You're right, I said. Mara blinked. Apparently that was not the response she had prepared for. I folded the top of the takeout bag. If you stay, it shouldn't be because I make leaving feel like a punishment. Her face softened, though only slightly. Thank you. I still hate Cedar Ridge. You've been there once. The downtown has diagonal parking. You're afraid of diagonal parking? I'm suspicious of any town that makes leaving harder than arriving. She smiled. I carried the trash downstairs and left, without asking what time her interview was, whether she had planned the drive, or if she wanted me to check her tires. In the parking lot, I could see her at the upstairs window beside the Rosemary woman. She lifted one hand. I lifted mine. That was all. The next afternoon, I nearly called 6 times. Instead, I cleaned my gutters, sharpened 3 mower blades I did not need until spring, and finally repaired the faucet because personal growth should not require wasting water. At 4:20, Mara sent a message. Interview done. I typed, how did it go? Good, I think. I wanted to ask what good meant, who had interviewed her, whether they discussed salary, whether Cedar Ridge salted its roads properly. I settled for, glad to hear it. She sent back a thumbs up. It looked exactly like Ray's and meant something entirely different. Saturday morning, Evelyn was waiting inside Mara and Jonah's side door with 2 suitcases, a laundry basket, and 4 reusable grocery bags lined up behind her. She wore a camel-colored coat and the expression of a woman prepared to defend a hill she had not yet climbed. Jonah stood at the kitchen counter making coffee. She's not going, he said, before I had both feet inside. Evelyn picked up one of the grocery bags. Observe me. Mom, put that down. No, your back. My back belongs to me. He looked at me. You're encouraging this. I haven't said anything. You brought the truck. Your mother asked me to. She's upset. Evelyn set the bag on top of a suitcase. I'm 70 in April, Jonah. I'm allowed to be upset and mobile at the same time. It's not safe at Aunt Dorothy's. It is a sofa, not a mining operation. She has those stairs. The sofa is downstairs, the bathroom isn't. Then I'll plan ahead. Jonah closed his eyes. You're being ridiculous. Evelyn's mouth tightened. He saw it and softened his voice. I'm worried about you, that's all. I had heard the same move enough times that week to recognize it. Concern laid across a doorway. Evelyn recognized it too. You didn't ask me to stay because you were worried, she said. You asked me to stay because you needed your decision to be the generous one. What is that supposed to mean? You wanted to bring me here. Mara wanted to help me differently. If I leave now, you think it proves she was right. This has nothing to do with proving anything. Then why can't I go? Because you're comfortable here. I am wearing earrings to carry laundry. You always wear earrings, not the pearls. Jonah looked at me again as if I might translate. I picked up the suitcase nearest the door. Walter, he said, your mother asked for help. And if she asked you to drive her into a lake, I'd ask whether she wanted the windows down. Evelyn laughed. Jonah did not. I carried the suitcase to my truck. When I returned, Jonah had moved between Evelyn and the remaining bags. Can we talk alone? He asked her. We have been talking alone for 2 days, without Walter standing here judging me. I'm not judging you, I said. He turned. You absolutely are. He was right, though saying so didn't seem useful. Evelyn touched his arm. Jonah, I love you. I know you were trying to help me. I am helping you. You gave me Mara's room before you asked her. She would have said no. Then you knew she hadn't agreed. His face changed. Not much, but enough. She wouldn't have said no to you, he replied. She should have been allowed to. You don't understand how she's been. Everything has to have terms, deadlines, conditions. Those are also called answers. I was supposed to put my mother in a motel because my wife needed room for a hobby she barely touched. Evelyn stepped back. There it is, she said. What? The version where you saved me from her. I did not say that. You told Ray she made me feel unwelcome. I told Ray she wanted you out. She wanted a plan. She wanted control. Evelyn looked toward the doorway leading to the front room. A folded table had been propped against the wall, and 2 cardboard cartons marked Autumn's Supper sat beside it. Jonah had already bought paper napkins printed with orange leaves. You're still having the supper, she said. Of course. Who's cooking? I can cook. Not that meal. It's a roast, Mom, not surgery. Mara makes chicken and dumplings. I can make chicken and dumplings. You once boiled a chicken with the little bag still inside. That was 12 years ago. The bag melted. It did not melt. It surrendered. Despite myself, I remembered that chicken. Jonah had been newly married and determined to host Christmas dinner. Mara had quietly rescued the side dishes while he stood over the pot, insisting the plastic smell came from the stove. He used to laugh at that story. Now he pointed at the cartons. Keeping a tradition isn't a crime. No, Evelyn said, but inviting everyone to watch you wait for Mara is not a tradition. I invited my family to my home. You invited witnesses. That silenced him. I picked up the laundry basket. Jonah followed me toward the door. If Mom leaves, Mara will think she won. Evelyn answered before I could. I am not a piece of furniture in your marriage. No one said you were. You moved me into one room, and now you're trying to keep me in another. I can recognize furniture. He pressed his fingertips to his forehead. You're both twisting everything. Both? I asked. You and Mara. She's been in your ear. I haven't spoken to her since Thursday night. Then Denise has. Denise hasn't called me. So everybody arrived at the same opinion independently? That's convenient. Maybe convenience isn't the problem. His hand dropped. You failed at your marriage, Walter. I'm trying not to fail at mine. The sentence found the exact place it had been aimed. Evelyn said his name sharply. No, I told her. He's allowed to say it. Jonah's anger faltered. I set the laundry basket down. I did fail at parts of my marriage. I let silence do work it couldn't do. I waited for Denise to become unreasonable enough that I could dismiss what she was saying. This isn't about you and Denise. You brought it up. I'm saying you don't get to help Mara run away and pretend it's wisdom. I'm helping your mother carry a suitcase. You know what you're doing? That phrase again. In his mouth, it meant he could assign my motives before I understood them myself. No, I said. I'm starting to know what you're doing. His face went pale. For a second, I thought he might swing at me. Jonah had never been a violent man. Even his anger looked shocked to find itself in the room. Then he turned to Evelyn. If you go, don't expect me to come get you when Dorothy starts treating you like hired help. Evelyn flinched. She reached for the laundry basket. I took the other handle, but she shook her head. I can carry half, she said. We carried it together. Dorothy lived 40 minutes north in a brick ranch house with fake shutters and a yard full of stone rabbits. She came outside before I had shut off the engine. She was taller than Evelyn, wider through the shoulders, and wore a purple housecoat over sweatpants. You brought too much, she called. It's 4 weeks, Evelyn said. You pack like you're crossing an ocean. You own 6 ceramic rabbits wearing seasonal hats. Those live here. So do I, temporarily. They hugged long enough to prove the insults were a language. Inside, the pull-out sofa had already been opened and covered with a yellow quilt. A vase of grocery store carnations sat on the side table. Dorothy had cleared half the downstairs bathroom cabinet and placed a nightlight in the hall. Evelyn noticed all of it and pretended not to. We put her suitcases beside the sofa. You staying for coffee? Dorothy asked me. I should get back. To what? I have things. He has a faucet, Evelyn said. It's fixed. Personal growth concluded, suspended. Evelyn walked me to the door. I'm calling Mara after lunch, she said. She'll appreciate it. Don't tell me what she'll feel. You're right. She narrowed her eyes. You say that more than you used to. I have more evidence. On my way home, the family conversation lit up. Jonah had written, Mom has decided to stay with Dorothy. While I disagree, I respect her choice and hope everyone will support her. My door remains open. Before anyone could add a heart, Evelyn replied. I left because I chose to. Mara did not ask me to leave, and she did not make me feel unwelcome. She offered me help that Jonah did not explain accurately. Please stop using me to discuss their marriage. There were no reactions for almost a minute. Then Denise added a heart. I pulled into a gas station and called Ray. Before you hear another version, I said, you need to know Jonah changed the locks while Mara was gone. Ray said nothing. He let her stand outside and brought her clothes in a garbage bag, I continued. That's why she isn't home. Why didn't you tell me this the other day? Because I wanted to sound fair. Was it true? Yes. Then fair to who? I watched a woman across the lot scrape dried mud from her windshield with a rewards card. Not Mara, I said. Ray exhaled. No? I guess not. When I got home, Mara had sent one message. Evelyn called me. A second appeared while I was reading. Thank you for helping her leave. I wrote, she left herself. I carried half a basket. Mara replied with a small blue heart. Then another message came. Cedar Ridge wants a second interview. I stared at the message. My first response was a question. When? Who called? Did they discuss relocation? Had she checked the cost of housing? I erased all of it and wrote, Congratulations, Mara replied. Thank you. A few minutes later, she added, You can ask one question. I considered wasting it on whether Cedar Ridge really needed diagonal parking. Do you want the job? The answer took a while. I don't know. I want the choice. I wrote, Then I hope they offer it. That hurt more than I expected. Jonah came to my house that evening, carrying a 6-pack of root beer and the expression of a man arriving for a conversation he had already won in the car. I opened the door, but didn't move aside. Can I come in? He asked. What for? To talk. We have phones. You keep hanging up. That's one of their better features. He raised the root beer. Peace offering. You brought my favorite drink to pressure me into a conversation. I brought your favorite drink because you like it. Both things could be true. That was what made Jonah difficult. He didn't manufacture every kindness. He simply learned to stand behind them. I let him in. He stopped in the kitchen when he heard the faucet. I thought you fixed things. I've been busy. That'll ruin the cartridge. No, it won't. He reached for the handle and turned it harder. The dripping stopped. There, he said. It'll start again. Not tonight. He set the root beer on the counter, took 2 bottles from the cardboard sleeve, and searched the drawer beside the refrigerator. Bottle openers in the next drawer, I said. Mara moved it. Mara hasn't been here this week. She moved it last month. He found it immediately. We sat at the kitchen table. Jonah twisted the cap off his bottle, but didn't drink. Mom says you helped her leave. I carried a suitcase and half a laundry basket. She made me sound like I was holding her hostage. She said you didn't want her to go. I didn't. Dorothy's house is cramped, and they make each other insane. She knew that before she left. You don't have to live with the consequences. Neither do you. His eyes narrowed. I drank some root beer. It was the expensive kind with a drawing of a bulldog on the label. Mara bought it for my birthday every year. Jonah must have noticed. Ray won't answer my calls, he said. He'll answer eventually. What did you tell him? That you changed the locks. Jonah looked down at his bottle. You had no right. You told him Mara pushed Evelyn out. I was talking to my uncle. He's my brother. He's family. So is Mara. I didn't think he'd call her. You knew he would. No, I didn't. Then you know less about Ray than you claim to know about your wife. He leaned back. Is this what we're doing now? Keeping score? No. Because I can admit I handled the lock badly. I already admitted it. But everybody's acting like one angry decision erased 12 years. It didn't erase them. Then why is no one talking about them? You are. I mean to her. I'm not carrying messages. You carried one before. I did. She asked me to stop. And now you do everything she asks? Not everything. One thing. He looked toward the living room, where the lamp Mara had brightened cast a warm circle over my chair. I went to work today and came home to a house that doesn't sound like anything, he said. Mom's gone. Mara's gone. The television feels stupid when nobody's ignoring it with you. I said nothing. He rubbed the wet ring his bottle had left on the table. I found one of Mara's hair ties around the bathroom faucet, he continued. I put it in the drawer, then took it back out because I thought she'd accuse me of moving her things. That sounds lonely. It is. The answer was so plain, I believed it. Jonah finally drank from the bottle. She always sleeps with one foot outside the blanket. Did you know that? No. If I covered it, she'd kick the blanket off again without waking up. Drove me crazy. He smiled at the memory, then the smile failed. I don't just miss dinner, he said. I know. Do you? Yes. Then help me. With what? Get her to come to the supper. No, it's one meal. It's a room full of people waiting to see whether she sits beside you. It's our family tradition. It's her work. I can do the work. Then cook the meal and don't invite her. He looked offended. That defeats the point. What is the point? To remind her we have a life. You have a table she sets. I have a marriage. Then talk about the marriage. Cancel the audience. His bottle hit the table harder than he intended. Root beer jumped through the neck and ran over his fingers. Stop calling them an audience. You invited relatives after she left, announced you hoped she'd be home, and told everyone not to take sides after you had already called Ray. I needed support. So does she. She has you, she has Denise, she has Sheila. My own mother is at Dorothy's giving interviews. Evelyn corrected the story you told about her. I was trying to keep people from thinking Mom caused this. You let them think Mara did. She left, and you locked the door behind her. He stood. For a second, we stared at each other across the table. Jonah had 6 inches on me, and the solid build of someone who paid for a gym membership and used it just enough to discuss it. I was not afraid he would hit me. I was afraid I wanted him to try, because anger would make the whole thing easier. Instead, he grabbed a dish towel and wiped up the spilled root beer. He did it carefully, then rinsed the towel and hung it over the sink. I don't know what you want me to do, he said. Ask Mara, she won't answer, then wait, while she interviews for jobs 3 hours away. I went still. Jonah watched me realize what he had said. How do you know about Cedar Ridge? He looked almost ashamed. Her email was open on the tablet. That's not your email, it's our tablet. She left her account signed in. We both use it. You read a message about her interview. It appeared on the screen. And then, I opened it. He had the decency not to dress that up. Does she know you know? No. Then you shouldn't know. She's planning to move without telling me. She's interviewing. She's my wife. That isn't a password. Jonah walked to the counter and picked up the remaining root beer. At least I'm fighting for her, he said. You're helping her disappear. I'm trying to let her decide where she lives. Easy for you. You already know what it's like to go home alone. He left the 2 bottles we had opened and took the other 4. After the door closed, the faucet began dripping again. I called Denise. I have a question, I said. That sounds ominous. Did I fight for you? She was quiet long enough that I thought the call had dropped. Is Jonah there? She asked. He just left. What happened? Answer first. You fought the divorce. That isn't what I asked. No. The answer was clean. I sat at the table and turned Jonah's bottle in the wet circle it had made. What did I do? You negotiated. That sounds like fighting. No. Fighting requires putting something of yourself at risk. You offered adjustments. What was I supposed to risk? The possibility that I was right about you. I leaned my head against the wall. Denise said, Where are you? Kitchen. Coffee? Root beer? I'm coming over. She arrived 20 minutes later with a bag of stale cookies she claimed were too bad to keep and too expensive to throw away. We sat at the same table. She bit into one, made a face, and ate the rest anyway. I wasn't blameless, she said. I didn't ask whether you were. I know. That's why I'm telling you. She brushed crumbs from her sweatshirt. I use Mara too, she continued. After I left, I complained to her about you. Not viciously. I was very tasteful. You told her I loved appliances because they came with instructions. That's still funny. It was also vicious. Fine. Tastefully vicious. She reached for another cookie. Mara organized holidays because I didn't want to sit beside you and admit it still hurt, Denise said. I let her manage the guest lists, the timing, who brought what. Then I praised her for being mature. We both did. Yes. I thought she liked hosting. She does. Then how were we supposed to know? By noticing when liking something became being trapped by it. I looked at the containers in my refrigerator, the brighter lamp, the gloves. You could have told me, I said. I did. Not about Mara, about us. I told you I was lonely. I was home every night. You said that then too. A laugh escaped me, though nothing was funny. Denise softened. Walter, you were not cruel. That made leaving harder. You treated every complaint like a maintenance request. You fixed what you considered reasonable and waited for me to be satisfied. I thought compromise was the point. It is. After both people agree on the problem. We sat listening to the faucet. She got a second interview, I said. I know. Of course you do. She called me after the first. Do you want her to go? No. The speed of Denise's answer surprised me. She looked toward the dark window. I want her 10 minutes away. I want her cooking Thanksgiving dinner and calling me from the garden center because a customer tried to return a dead fern. I want selfish things too. But I don't want her to stay because we make leaving expensive. I took the cookie she offered. It tasted like sugared drywall. Jonah knows about the interview, I said. He read her email on their tablet. Denise stopped chewing. Do not tell him where she's staying. I haven't. He will go to Bellwether. Mara works there. He already knows that. I mean the room. I know. My phone buzzed. Mara had sent a screenshot of a message from Jonah. I know about Cedar Ridge. Before you make another permanent decision, please come home for the autumn supper. Everyone misses you. Your seat will be waiting. Below it, Mara had written, he read my email. I replied, he told me. Her call came at once. And you didn't warn me? He left 5 minutes ago. I was going to. What else does he know? I don't know. He'll think Sheila told him. He'll call her. He said it appeared on the tablet. I forgot I was signed in. Denise held out her hand for the phone. I shook my head. Mara's breathing steadied. I need my things out before that supper, she said. All of them? What I care about. He can keep the leaf napkins. When? Tomorrow. I'll bring the truck. No. Your car is enough. I'm not emptying the house. Do you want Denise there? No, Denise mouthed. Good. Mara continued. I want you beside me, not in front of me. If Jonah asks me a question, you don't answer. If he insults you, you don't turn it into your fight. If I decide to leave something, you leave it. I understand. Do you? I looked at Denise. She was watching me with the expression she used to wear when she had asked a question and knew I was considering a safer answer. I can try, I said. Mara was silent. Then she said, pick me up at 9. At 8:57, Mara came through the employee door wearing jeans, work boots, and the blue sweater from the morning I found her. She carried 4 flattened boxes under one arm and a roll of packing tape looped around her wrist. You're early, she said. 3 minutes. That's early. I learned it from Evelyn. She put the boxes in my back seat. The rosemary planter remained in the upstairs window. I had half expected her to bring it, as if we were going into the house to trade one life for another. She got in beside me and fastened her seatbelt. Did you tell Jonah we're coming? I asked. I said 9:30. What did he say? That he'd be waiting. Anything else? 32 lines. I started the engine. Mara rested both hands flat on her thighs. She looked steady unless you noticed her right thumb rubbing the seam of her jeans. We don't have to do this today, I said. Yes, we do. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. You're offering an exit. I thought exits were good. They are when I choose them. I nodded and backed out. During the drive, we discussed a greenhouse heater that had begun making a noise like a goose. Mara described 3 possible causes. I suggested a 4th. She disagreed. It was the most normal conversation we'd had all week. Jonah had turned on the porch light. Morning sunlight washed it nearly invisible. But there it was, glowing above the door as if it had never gone dark. Mara saw it too. Her thumb stopped moving. I can pull around back, I said. No. We parked at the curb. Jonah opened the door before we reached the steps. He had shaved and put on a dark blue shirt Mara once said made him look trustworthy. Whether he remembered that, I couldn't know. Hey, he said to her. Hi. His eyes went to me, then the flattened boxes under my arm. I thought we were going to talk first. I said I was coming for my things. I know. I thought once you got here, I'm here. He stepped aside. The house smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner. A vase of grocery store flowers sat on the dining table. Beside it were 2 mugs, one blue and one white. The blue one said, Plant Manager, although Mara had crossed out man with a permanent marker. Jonah had arranged 2 chairs on the same side of the table. You made coffee? Mara said. I thought we could sit down. I'm not staying for coffee. It's the kind you like. I know what kind it is. I bought oat milk. She looked toward the hallway. Bedroom first, she said to me. Jonah moved between us. Can we have 5 minutes alone? No. Mara, I'm not going to hurt you. I didn't say you would. Then why is your father here? Because I asked him. I'm asking to speak to my wife without an audience. I felt the word land on me, but Mara had been clear. He stays, she said. Jonah's gaze moved to the boxes. Fine. The bedroom looked almost untouched. The left side of the bed was neatly made, the right side had been slept in. Mara's book still lay face down on the nightstand. A glass of water beside it had gone cloudy with dust. She stood in the doorway for several seconds. Jonah watched her face. I didn't move anything. You packed me a garbage bag. I panicked. You found 3 left shoes. I wasn't looking at the shoes. That was part of the problem. She opened the closet. Her clothes filled most of it. Jonah had pushed the empty hangers together as if preserving her place. Mara selected work pants, sweaters, 2 dresses, and a winter coat. She did not pack everything. I unfolded a box. I can do that, she said. I set the box on the bed without opening it further. Thank you. Jonah leaned against the dresser. Take whatever you need, but don't do this like you're moving out forever. I moved out when my key stopped working. I changed the lock because I was angry. I admitted that. You admitted it to my father. I'm admitting it to you. After you read my email. That has nothing to do with the lock. It has everything to do with the lock. You keep deciding access belongs to you. I saw a notification on our tablet. My account. Our tablet. My email. I shouldn't have opened it. I'm sorry. The apology sat there. Clean, direct, almost enough. Then Jonah said, But you were interviewing for a job 3 hours away without telling me. Mara folded a sweater and placed it in the box. You read my email, she said, and somehow the emergency is still what you found in it. I'm your husband. I'm allowed to care if you leave the city. You don't need permission to care. Then what do I need permission for? Apparently everything. She stopped folding. For my room, she said. My belongings, my email, my time. Yes, Jonah. You need permission for some things. He opened his hands. Listen to how you're talking. Everything is yours and mine now. Nothing is ours. The house was ours until you locked me out. I made a mistake. You made a decision. In anger. So did I. The difference is I left with my own body. You kept everything else. Jonah looked at me. I focused on the cardboard box. Mara, I'm asking for another chance, he said. She resumed packing. I don't have an answer for that. That isn't no. It isn't yes. I moved Mom out. Your mother moved herself. I put your pottery room back. I didn't ask you to. I'm trying to show you I heard. You're restoring the things you took and calling it change. What else am I supposed to do? Understand why you took them. I know why. My mother needed help. Mara closed the box and pressed tape across the seam. No, she said. You still don't. She carried the box toward the hallway. I followed without offering to take it. My arms objected to the arrangement. The pottery room had been restored, in the same way a store display resembles a home. The air mattress was gone. Mara's wheel sat by the window, wiped clean. Shelves had been reassembled against the yellow wall. Jonah had arranged 6 finished bowls in a row by size. The boxes from the basement sat open on the floor, their contents sorted into neat groups. The damp bag of clay was missing. Where's the bag? I asked before I could stop myself. Mara glanced at me. Jonah said, It was ruined. You threw it away? It was wet powder. It was porcelain mix, Mara said. I'll buy more. That supplier closed last year. I didn't know. No. She picked up the small fern-patterned bowl I had seen in the box. A hairline crack ran from the rim halfway down one side. Did this happen in the basement? She asked. I don't know, Jonah said. She turned the bowl over in her hands. I'm sorry, he added. Mara set it carefully inside an empty box. She packed the wire tools, aprons, glaze jars, and 5 of the finished bowls. She left the wheel and most of the clay. I wanted to ask why. I didn't. When she tried to lift the plastic tote from the floor, I stepped forward, then stopped. Do you want help? I asked. Her eyes met mine. Yes. We took 1 handle each. Jonah moved out of the doorway. So that's it? You take some clothes and bowls, and we keep not talking? We are talking. You're issuing statements. I'm answering you. You haven't asked how I am once. Mara's grip tightened on the tote. How are you? She asked. He looked startled. Then anger rushed in to cover it. I'm terrible, he said. I don't sleep. I can't focus at work. My mother thinks I used her. Ray treats me like I'm dangerous. Everyone looks at me like I'm some kind of controlling husband because I'd changed one lock. That sounds painful. It is. I'm sorry you're in pain. But there isn't a but. Then come home. No. The word was soft. Jonah's face folded for half a second. I saw the hurt before he straightened it. You said there wasn't a but. Being sorry you hurt does not mean I have to stop protecting myself. From what? An argument? From disappearing inside your version of me? He shook his head. That doesn't mean anything? It does to me. We carried the tote to my car. On the second trip, Mara took books from the living room and a framed photograph of her grandmother from the hallway. In the kitchen, she opened the cabinet above the refrigerator and removed a green metal recipe box. Jonah watched her. You're taking the recipes? They were Grandma June's. The dumplings are in there. Yes. What am I supposed to make for the supper? Mara stood with the green box against her chest. There are moments when a person says the quiet part without recognizing its voice. Jonah heard it a second later. That came out wrong. No, Mara said. It came out clear. I meant people expect them. Then tell people they aren't having them. I can follow a recipe. Then you don't need the card. He looked toward me. Are you enjoying this? No. You've wanted her to choose you from the second you found out. I felt my shoulders tighten. You gotta be the rescuer, Jonah continued. That must feel good after spending years as the father she had to take care of. He knew where to aim because part of it was true. Mara said, Stop. I'm talking to him. No. You're trying to turn this into a fight he understands so nobody has to stay in mine. Jonah gave a bitter laugh. Listen to yourself. You bring your father to carry your boxes and pretend this is independence. I started to answer. Mara touched my arm, not to calm me, to remind me. I closed my mouth. Jonah looked from her hand to my face. He's always going to step in. You'll always find some man to rescue you and tell you your feelings are right. Mara lowered her hand. I didn't ask him to rescue me, she said. I asked him to stand beside me and let me speak. And he suddenly knows how? He's learning. The words hit harder than praise. Jonah stared at her. And I'm not allowed to learn? You are. Then why won't you let me? Because your lesson cannot require me to move back before you take it seriously. He reached into his pocket and set a silver key on the kitchen counter. I changed the lock again, he said. This fits. Mara looked at it. For one breath, I thought she might pick it up. Instead, she placed the green recipe box beside it and opened the lid. She removed a single card stained brown at the corners, read it, and handed it to Jonah. Chicken and dumplings, she said. He took the card automatically. Mara closed the box and carried it out. At the door, Jonah followed us onto the porch. If you go to Cedar Ridge, this is over, he said. Mara turned. Is that what you want? No, that's what moving means. It means I took an interview. You left me, moved into some place you won't tell me about, and interviewed for a job 3 hours away. What am I supposed to call that? A consequence. His mouth opened, but nothing came. We loaded the last box into my trunk. Jonah stood beneath the glowing porch light as I pulled away. At the end of the street, Mara said, Stop. I pulled to the curb. She opened the door and leaned out, breathing as if she had run a long distance. I kept both hands on the steering wheel. After a minute, she sat back and closed the door. Do you want quiet? I asked. No. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Something true. I looked at her empty ring finger, the green recipe box on her lap, and the house disappearing in my mirror. You didn't abandon your home, I said. He closed it to you. Mara pressed her lips together. Tears filled her eyes but did not fall. I should have understood sooner, I said. She shook her head. You came when I asked. We sat at the curb while traffic passed us. Finally, she opened the recipe box, took out the top card, and laughed through one escaping tear. What? She wrote, salt to taste, Mara said. Grandma June couldn't taste salt. Her dumplings could preserve a body. I laughed too. Then she closed the box, held it against her chest, and told me to drive. I drove. At Bellwether, Sheila saw the boxes through the glass door and came outside with a flat cart. That all of it? She asked. No, Mara said. That's enough. Sheila looked at me. You behave? I carried only authorized objects. Progress. We loaded the cart. When I reached for the plastic tote, Mara took the opposite handle without being asked. We carried it together to the employee entrance. The upstairs room had not grown while we were gone. 4 boxes of clothing filled the space beside the wardrobe. The pottery supplies took up most of the wall under the window. Mara set the green recipe box on the folding table, leaving the mixer on the floor. She held the cracked fern bowl in both hands. I can glue that, I said. She gave me a look. If you ask, I know how to repair pottery. I know. She turned the bowl over. Sometimes the crack shows after. Usually. That isn't always bad. I kept my thoughts to myself, which was becoming exhausting. Sheila came up carrying 2 boxes of books. You planning to become less temporary, she said. I'm planning to stop wearing the same 4 shirts. Excellent. Walter, where do you keep your empty cardboard boxes? Garage attic. Sheila pointed at the pottery tote. Can that go there? Mara looked at me. Only if you want, I said. Will you leave it closed? Yes. Will you decide the glaze jars need sorting? No. Will you tell me the wheels should be stored with them? Not unless you ask. She studied my face. You hated every one of those answers. Not everyone. Which did you enjoy? The first. She smiled faintly. The tote can go in your garage. I carried it down alone. It weighed close to 50 pounds, but after a week of learning not to lift things, the strain felt almost restful. Jonah reminded the family about the autumn supper on Tuesday. Saturday at 5. I'm making Mara's chicken and dumplings and Mom's roast. Please let me know if you can make it. We all need some normal. Evelyn answered first. I will be staying with Dorothy. Jonah replied, You're both welcome. Dorothy entered the conversation 20 seconds later. Nobody knew who had added her. I would sooner eat the stone rabbits. Evelyn added, She means no, thank you. Denise wrote that she had other plans. Ray said he would check with Linda. Linda, who was sitting beside him when he wrote it, replied that they would not be attending. I waited. Jonah sent me a private message. Are you coming? I called instead of typing. No, I said when he answered. He was quiet. Why? Because Mara isn't. She could be. She said no. She said she wasn't coming home. She didn't specifically say she wouldn't come to dinner. She doesn't want to attend a family meal staged around her empty chair. I am not staging anything. You wrote that everybody needs normal. We do. Normal for who? For all of us. Mara cooked that meal. She set the table. She called everyone to confirm. She remembered Linda hates rosemary, and Ray pretends he does because Linda does. I remember those things. Ray loves rosemary. That isn't the point. It will be when you season the roast. He breathed out hard. I'm trying to keep my family together. You're asking everybody to act as if Mara's absence is a scheduling problem. I'm cooking. You keep mentioning that, like the stove issued you a medal. I have spent 12 years being treated like I can't boil water. You did boil plastic inside a chicken. Once. It stayed with people. There was a pause, and I heard a small, unwilling laugh. Then Jonah said, What does cut and shortening until coarse mean? I have no idea. The dumpling card says that. Call Evelyn. She told me to use the internet. That sounds reasonable. I want to make them the way Mara does. You can't make anything the way Mara does by reading one card. That's very supportive. I'm not trying to support the supper. So, you're all boycotting me. No one had a meeting. Mom did. Your mother moved. Because you helped. She had directions. This is punishment. You can call it boundaries or consequences or whatever word Denise is using this week. But everybody's making sure I sit alone. I looked through my kitchen window. A sparrow was bathing in the gutter, even though the bird bath beneath it was clean. You could cancel, I said, and prove Mara was the only thing holding this family together. That isn't something you prove by making dumplings. You know what I mean. Yes. He caught the change in my voice. What? He asked. I do know what you mean. That's the problem. What's that supposed to mean? You're afraid everybody came for her. They came to our house. They came because she made them feel expected. I made people feel welcome too. I'm sure you did. You're being condescending. I don't mean to be. You always mean to be. You just keep your voice low enough to deny it. That sounded like something Mara might have said. It was also true. I leaned against the counter. Then, let me say it plainly. I'm not coming because I don't want to help you use a family tradition to corner my daughter. Corner her? She won't even be there. That's why you put her name in the invitation. I didn't put her name in the invitation. You said Mara's dumplings. His silence answered. I'm not telling anyone else what to do, I continued. I'm making my own decision. Congratulations. You finally learned how. The call ended. He canceled the supper Friday afternoon. Given the lack of availability, we'll try again another time. No one reacted. That evening, Mara came to my house for dinner. Denise arrived 5 minutes later, carrying a salad in a wooden bowl large enough to bathe a dog. You invited her? Mara asked me. She invited herself, I said. I brought vegetables, Denise replied. That constitutes an invitation. I made meatloaf. You made a brown rectangle, Denise said. You haven't tasted it. I was married to you. Mara set the table while I drained potatoes. I told her she didn't have to, and she said she knew. The difference mattered enough that I didn't argue. Denise opened my silverware drawer. Why are the forks over here? Over where? Where the spoons belong. The spoons don't own property. Mara, look what he's done. I'm not mediating utensil disputes. She started it, I said. Denise moved the forks anyway. We ate at the kitchen table. The meatloaf was dry in the middle and wet around the edges. An engineering achievement none of us could explain. Mara took a second slice. You don't have to protect my feelings, I said. I like the burnt end. It isn't burnt. Then I like whatever happened to it. For a while, we discussed Evelyn and Dorothy. According to Evelyn, Dorothy snored. According to Dorothy, Evelyn had started the rumor to distract from her own night breathing. The stone rabbits had been moved to the garage because Evelyn claimed they watched through the windows. Then Mara put down her fork. Cedar Ridge offered me the job. The room changed. Denise reached for her water. Congratulations. Thank you. When do you have to answer? I asked. Next Friday. Benefits? Mara raised one eyebrow. You allowed one question last time, I said. I assumed the limit reset. It has health insurance, a retirement match, and enough of a raise to cover higher rent. Have you looked at places? Online, diagonal parking, still present. I smiled, but my chest felt tight. Denise asked, Do you want us to say what we think? No. Good. I didn't know what I thought. I know what I think, I said. Mara waited. I think I don't get a vote. Her shoulders lowered. That must be killing you, Denise said. It's uncomfortable, like death for a man with a toolbox. Mara smiled down at her plate. I put my fork beside it. I do need to say something else. Denise started to rise. I can go. No, you're part of it. She sat back. Mara's face became guarded. I'm sorry I called you strong every time you told me you were tired, I said. I thought I was reminding you who you were. I was telling you what I needed you to keep being. She looked at me. I'm sorry about the birthday dinners, I continued. Thanksgiving. The containers in my refrigerator. I liked being cared for, and I let myself believe you always liked doing it. I did like some of it. I know. That made it easier not to ask. Denise touched the rim of her water glass. I did the same thing. Mara glanced at her. I let you organize the family because it meant I didn't have to negotiate with your father, Denise said. Then I acted like your competence was a personality trait instead of labor. You two practice this? Mara asked. No, I said. It shows, Denise replied. Mara laughed, but her eyes had gone wet. I'm not asking you to tell us it's okay, I said. You don't have to make the apology comfortable. She pressed the heel of her hand against one eye. Good, she said, because I don't know if it's okay yet. It doesn't have to be. We cleared the table together. I washed, Denise dried, and Mara put away dishes only after asking where they belonged. Denise moved the forks again when she thought I wasn't looking. When Mara was ready to leave, I carried the empty salad bowl to her car because Denise had parked behind her and refused to move until she found her keys. At the curb, Mara leaned against the driver's door. Jonah canceled the supper, she said. I saw. Ray told me nobody wanted to go. I told him I wasn't. Did you tell the others? No. She nodded. I'm glad it didn't happen, she said. Then I feel guilty that he was alone. You can feel sorry for him without going back. That sounds like something Denise said. It might be. She leaves phrases around. Mara looked toward my house where Denise was visible through the window, opening cabinets she had no business opening. I don't want Cedar Ridge to be an escape, she said. Then don't decide tonight. What if staying is just another kind of fear? I don't know. She looked surprised again. I can make something up, I offered. No, this is better. My phone buzzed. A message from Jonah. You win, supper's canceled, hope it was worth it. I showed Mara. She read it without taking the phone. You didn't win, she said. I know. Do you? Yes. She opened her car door. Don't answer him tonight. All right? I'm not telling you what to do. I know, I'm asking, I know that too. She got in and started the engine. I stood on the curb until her taillights disappeared, then went inside and left Jonah's message unanswered. Jonah tried again at 6:30 the next morning. I let the call go to voicemail. His message was 12 seconds long. I shouldn't have sent that. Call me when you're ready. No accusation, no explanation. Somehow that made it harder to ignore. I listened twice, then put the phone down. At noon, Mara called. I accepted Cedar Ridge. I sat in my chair beneath the lamp she had brightened. All right, I said. That's it? I'm waiting to find out what response you want. She laughed softly. Congratulations would be good. Congratulations. Thank you. When do you start? I negotiated 6 weeks. 6? I told them I needed time to relocate and finish the season here. They wanted 4. We settled. Pride and dread arrived together. Neither one knew where to sit. That sounds like a good negotiation, I said. It was. Have you told Denise? She cried and claimed it was allergies. Indoors, she said dust travels. That sounds medically questionable. I'm driving up Thursday to look at rentals. I waited. Would you come? She asked. Yes. I haven't finished. Sorry. You can tell me if a water heater is dangerous or the foundation is sliding into Kentucky. Cedar Ridge is north. The sliding would be especially concerning. I understand. You don't tell the leasing agent what the place is worth. You don't check every outlet unless I ask. You don't eliminate something because the driveway annoys you. What if it's diagonal? Especially then. I can follow those rules. Can you? I can attempt those rules. Thursday at 7. I arrived at Bellwether at 6:58. Mara came out carrying coffee in 2 paper cups and a folder of rental listings. She handed me 1 cup. Oat milk, she said. I drink regular. You can survive diversity. The first apartment was above a tax preparation office and smelled like cinnamon air freshener had been used to conceal a wet dog. The leasing agent called the kitchen efficient. Mara opened the oven and found the only cabinet door could not open unless the oven was closed. I said nothing. On the sidewalk, she asked, Well, do you want my opinion? Yes. The kitchen is a puzzle designed by somebody who hates food. Agreed. The second place was a remodeled garage behind a large house. It had heated floors, new appliances, and 1 narrow window facing a wooden fence. The owner, a cheerful man named Paul, followed us through every room, describing where his previous tenant kept things. She put the bed here, Paul said. Dresser there. Television on that wall. Mara looked around. What if I put the bed there? Paul frowned at the suggested wall, as if it violated the property's beliefs. You could, he said. Although Cheryl found the original arrangement optimal. Back in the car, Mara crossed it off. You like the appliances, she said. I didn't say anything. Your eyes liked the appliances. They were good appliances. I would have been murdered for moving Cheryl's bed, probably with an efficient kitchen utensil. The third place was a small duplex on a street lined with old maples. The brick had been painted pale gray. The front steps tilted slightly, and the porch light was shaped like an upside-down jelly jar. The owner met us at the door. Her name was Teresa. She lived in the other half and worked nights at a medical laboratory. She wore green scrubs and apologized because she had forgotten to vacuum. The living room was narrow. The bedroom closet was shallow. The bathroom tile was the color of canned peas. But the kitchen faced east, with 2 windows above a deep porcelain sink. Morning light lay across the floor. Mara stood in it. Teresa explained the lease, utilities, and parking. The driveway was straight. I checked only the things Mara asked me to check. The water heater was old but sound. The outlets were grounded. A crack above the back door was plaster settling, not the house separating from itself. The furnace had been serviced in August. The porch light worked. Teresa gave us a few minutes alone. Mara walked through the kitchen again. What do you think? Do you want a repairman or your father? Both. The repairman says the roof has maybe 5 good years, which is Teresa's problem, not yours. The furnace is fine. The back step needs paint, but it isn't rotten. And my father? I looked at the windows. My father would have hated that bathroom tile. Mara waited. I think you can make a home here, I said. Her eyes moved around the empty kitchen. You think so? Yes, even 3 hours away. The house is 3 hours away. You won't be. She looked down, and I became interested in the thermostat. Mara signed the application at Teresa's kitchen counter. The place would be available in 5 weeks, 3 days before her new job began. Teresa asked for references and proof of employment. Ordinary things. No one needed rescuing. On the drive back, Mara slept for nearly an hour with her forehead against the passenger window. When she woke, we were passing a field full of rolled hay. I need to talk to Jonah, she said. I kept my eyes on the road. All right, not at the house. My place, if that's okay. It is. I don't want you to arrange it. I won't. I want you there. I'll be there. She called him herself. They agreed on Sunday afternoon. Jonah arrived at 2 carrying nothing. He had lost weight in the face. His shirt was wrinkled, and there was a small cut on his chin where he had shaved too quickly. Natsamara was already seated at my kitchen table. She had chosen the chair facing the door. I sat near the window, far enough away that nobody could mistake me for the center of the conversation. Jonah looked at my place setting. I thought Walter was just providing the location. I asked him to stay, Mara said. He nodded once. Okay. He sat across from her. For several seconds, no one spoke. The faucet did not drip. Fixing it suddenly felt inconsiderate. Jonah rested his forearms on the table. I'm sorry about the message I sent your dad. Mara glanced at me. I didn't answer, I said. She looked back at Jonah. Why did you send it? Because everybody canceled, and I was angry. At him, at all of you. All of us didn't plan the supper. I thought if people came, things might feel normal. For you. For everybody. No, Jonah. Say it correctly. He pressed his lips together. For me, he said. Mara nodded. He looked down at his hands. I made the dumplings. You did? They were terrible. Did you cut in the shortening? I used a knife. A laugh escaped her. Jonah smiled despite himself. They came out like wet golf balls, he said. You worked the dough too much. The card didn't say anything about dough having feelings. It assumes judgment. That recipe assumes witchcraft. For a few seconds, they looked like the married couple I knew. Then Jonah noticed it too, and hope changed his face. Mara, I accepted the Cedar Ridge job. The hope left. He leaned back. When? Yesterday. So it's done. The job is accepted. And the move? I applied for a duplex. You already found somewhere. Yes. You told me you only wanted the choice. I made one. He turned to me. You drove her. She asked me to, I said. That's all you say now. It's usually the relevant part. Mara touched the table with 2 fingers. This isn't about Dad. It's hard to believe that with him sitting here. He is sitting here because I need one person in the room who won't tell me what I mean. I know what you mean. You're leaving. I am taking a job. 3 hours away. Yes. And what happens to us? I'm not coming back to the house. For now, I don't know what happens later. I know I'm not returning to the marriage we had. Jonah's eyes reddened. He looked toward the ceiling until the feeling passed. I said I would change. You said you would change if I came home. How else am I supposed to show you? Change when it doesn't earn you anything. That's easy to say when you're the one walking away. It isn't easy. You have a new job, a new place, everybody congratulating you. I have an empty house and relatives who won't answer the phone. You told them I abandoned you. Because you did. Mara flinched. Jonah saw it. He closed his eyes. No, he said. That was wrong. She waited. You left after I told you to leave, he continued. Then I changed the lock. You didn't abandon me. The admission changed the air more than an apology would have. Mara folded her hands in her lap. Jonah said, I thought you'd come back the next morning. I thought you'd knock and we'd talk, and you'd understand I was serious. I did come back, I know, and you handed me a garbage bag. I wanted you to apologize first, for making you ask before giving away my room, for making everything feel conditional. Everything was conditional. You just liked the conditions when I was the only one meeting them. He looked at the table. I thought if you loved me, you would make it work, he said. I was making everything work. I know. No. You thought that was me loving you. He covered his mouth with one hand. Mara's voice softened. I did love you. I do. That's why I stayed until I couldn't recognize what part of our life belonged to me. Then let me give it back. That's not how it works. What do you want from me? I want you to stop making your improvement another thing I have to manage. He lowered his hand. I called a counselor. Mara's expression did not change. I have an appointment Tuesday, he added. That's good. Will you come? No, ever? I don't know. What do you know? That I am moving. Jonah stood and walked to the counter. He gripped the edge with both hands. I don't know how to live in that house without you, he said. It was not an accusation. That made Mara's eyes fill. That is the first thing you've said, she replied. That I believe you don't expect me to fix. He faced her. I miss you, he said. I know. I'm sorry. I know. Neither phrase solved anything. Jonah wiped his face with the heel of his hand. Do you need the pottery wheel? Not yet. I can bring it when you do. I'll let you know. He looked at me once on his way to the door. I expected another accusation. Instead, he said, Take care of her. Mara answered before I could. I'm taking care of myself. Jonah nodded, then he left. Mara remained at the table, looking at the chair he had vacated. I did not tell her she had made the right decision. I did not ask whether she was certain. After a while, she stood. I need boxes, she said. How many? A lot. I have some in the garage attic. I know. Do you want help getting them down? Yes. We walked into the garage together. I pulled the ladder beneath the attic opening and waited. Mara pointed upward. Go ahead, she said. Only then did I climb. The first box I pulled from the attic split down the middle and dropped 20 years of extension cords onto my head. Mara looked up from the garage floor. Are you okay? Yes. A 3-prong adapter bounced off the ladder and landed beside her boot. You've been saving cords without knowing what they belong to. They might belong to something. Do you own anything that uses a beige telephone cord? Not currently. She picked it up. Can I throw it away? I looked at the cord. Mara waited. Yes. Are you sure? No. Do it before I change my mind. We filled 14 boxes. Mara wrote on each one with a black marker, kitchen, books, pottery, bedroom. She did not write maybe, which was how I labeled things when I wanted to avoid deciding whether they were garbage. The rental application was approved 2 days later. During the next 5 weeks, Mara finished the fall inventory at Bellwether, trained the woman taking over her receiving shift, and packed the upstairs room in pieces. She did not rush. That mattered to her. Cedar Ridge had begun as an exit she could see from a locked porch. By the time she left, it had become a job she had chosen, in a town with bad parking and a kitchen that caught the morning sun. I tried to help only when asked. I failed in small ways. I sent her a list of moving companies before she told me she had hired one. I bought furniture pads without checking whether the movers supplied them. At a thrift store, I pointed out that the oak table she liked had a loose leg. I can see it, she said. It will wobble. I know. There's a better one near the front. I don't like the better one. The better one is better. For you. I put both hands in my coat pockets and followed her back to the loose table. She bought it. 3 days later, she asked me to help load it into my truck. I did not mention the leg. Jonah brought the pottery wheel to my garage on a Wednesday evening. Mara had arranged it directly with him and asked me if he could leave it there until moving day. I said yes without requesting details. He arrived alone. The wheel was strapped in the back of his SUV beside 2 boxes of clay and a wooden stool spotted with dried glaze. You kept the stool, Mara said. I thought it went with the wheel. It does. Jonah cut the straps. The 3 of us stood around the machine, each waiting for somebody else to decide how it should be lifted. 2 people, I said, 1 on each side. Mara looked at me. That was safety information. I know. She took one side. Jonah took the other. I opened the garage door wider and stayed out of the way. They set the wheel beside the plastic tote. Jonah straightened and rubbed his palms against his jeans. I found another bag of the porcelain mix, he said. Where? Behind the shelving unit. It was dry. Thank you. I put it in the box. Mara nodded. Jonah looked at the moving cartons stacked along my wall. You got the duplex? Yes. When do you leave? Saturday. I remembered. His eyes rested on a box labeled Grandma June. The green recipe tin was inside, wrapped in a dish towel. I put the dumpling card in the clay box, he said. You could have kept it. I made them again. How were they? Less dangerous? Mara smiled faintly. Jonah shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. The counselor says I treat explanations like apologies. Mara did not answer. I'm not telling you that to get credit, he added. You're doing it a little for credit, a little. They both smiled then, but neither mistook it for repair. How's Evelyn's apartment? Mara asked. Almost ready. She says she's moving back Monday. Good. She won't stay at the house. That's probably good too. Jonah glanced at me, then back at her. Ray came over Sunday. How is he? He brought a football game and 3 pounds of chicken wings. Left at halftime. Why? He said the house felt strange. Mara looked down. Jonah continued. Aaron stopped inviting himself to dinner because there isn't dinner. Mom says that's a natural consequence, which I assume is something she learned from your mother. It sounds like Denise. I used to think everybody liked coming to our house. They did. Because of you, not only because of me. Mostly. The admission did not seem to satisfy him. It wasn't supposed to. Jonah touched the edge of the pottery wheel. I'm sorry I called this a hobby, like it didn't matter. It was a hobby. It mattered, yes. He took his car keys from his pocket. I hope the new job is good, he said. So do I. At the end of the driveway, he turned back. I don't know if I'm supposed to ask you to call when you get there. You're not. All right, but I'll let you know the move is done. He nodded, got into his SUV, and drove away. Mara stood in the garage until his taillights disappeared. That was hard, I said. Yes. Do you want to talk? No? All right. She put one hand on the pottery wheel. Maybe later, she said. Evelyn moved back into her apartment as promised. Dorothy drove her, then remained for 4 hours reorganizing a linen closet nobody had asked her to open. According to Evelyn, they argued about fitted sheets until a neighbor knocked to make sure nothing had caught fire. On Friday, Evelyn came to Bellwether to say goodbye to Mara. I was there to collect the last boxes, but Sheila made me wait downstairs. This conversation doesn't require a father, she said. I wasn't going upstairs. You were looking at the stairs with intent. I carried bags to the truck while they talked. Evelyn came down first. Her penciled eyebrows were smudged, and she held a tissue against her nose. She made me cry, she said. Did she mean to? No. Very inconsiderate. Mara followed, carrying the rosemary planter. Evelyn turned to her. I meant what I said. So did I. They hugged awkwardly around the plant. Later, Mara told me Evelyn had apologized for accepting the room, without asking whether it had truly been offered. I told her I should have spoken to her, Mara said. I was afraid if she felt guilty, I'd have to comfort her. Would you have? Probably. That sounds exhausting. It was. The movers arrived Saturday at 7:15, which gave Denise 45 minutes to reorganize their plan before they got there. You put books in large boxes, she told me. Everyone knows books go in small boxes. Those are medium. They say large. Boxes can be modest. They are labeled. Ed Lawson showed up, carrying the same red plastic toolbox he had offered me during the water heater repair. I brought tools, he said. You brought pliers and a tape measure, the essentials. Sheila brought breakfast sandwiches and stood guard over the pottery wheel. Ray and Linda arrived with coffee. Evelyn came with 2 rolls of shelf liner, and Dorothy, who had not been invited but owned a hand truck. No one asked Mara where anything should go without listening to the answer. That was new. When I began telling one of the movers how to angle the oak table through the door, Mara said my name. I stopped. The mover angled it exactly the way I would have suggested. I considered this vindication and kept it private. The drive to Cedar Ridge took 3 hours and 12 minutes because Ray missed an exit while insisting he had not. By noon, the duplex lawn was crowded with cars, cartons, and adults offering incompatible advice. Teresa came home from work and handed Mara the keys. She had left a welcome card and a roll of toilet paper on the kitchen counter. The card's nice, Denise said. The toilet paper is love, Mara replied. They put the oak table in the kitchen. It wobbled. Ed crawled underneath before anyone could stop him. Loose bracket, he announced. I know, Mara said. I can fix it. No, thank you. Ed looked wounded until Mara folded a square from one of the empty boxes and pushed it beneath the short leg. There, she said. The table stood firm. I carried the mixer into the kitchen and set it where she pointed, on a low cart beside the counter. The cream enamel looked brighter in the morning light. "Does it work?" Ray asked. "It has 12 speeds," I said. "Why?" "In case you need to mix something through a wall." By 4, the bed was assembled, the wardrobe was full, and most of the boxes had reached their assigned rooms. The pottery wheel sat near the second kitchen window because the duplex had no spare room. Mara said she liked it there. She could work while bread rose or water boiled. Nothing she cared about had to be hidden behind a closed door to prove it was important. Denise arranged Grandma June's recipe tin beside the stove. Evelyn lined Mara's clay bowls inside the open cabinet. The cracked fern bowl went on the windowsill. Mara had repaired it herself. The break remained visible. Jonah did not come. No one used his absence as conversation. We ate pizza from paper plates at the oak table and on borrowed folding chairs. Dorothy complained about the canned pea bathroom tile, then admitted the water pressure was excellent. Ray tried to claim the cardboard under the table leg was his idea. Linda threatened to leave him in Cedar Ridge. Mara sat among the noise without directing it. She did not refill drinks unless she was already standing. She did not collect plates before people were finished. When Evelyn asked where to put leftover pizza, Mara pointed toward the refrigerator instead of getting up. Small things. They were the entire point. Everyone left before dark except me. I had reserved a room at a motel near the highway. Mara walked me to the porch carrying the rosemary planter, which she placed beneath the jelly jar light. "Does this count as a motel by the interstate?" I asked. "It has breakfast." Evelyn could have stayed there. "It has waffles shaped like Texas." "That might have changed the marriage." She laughed. I looked past her into the half-unpacked living room. "Do you need anything before I go?" "No." The answer came easily. "All right." She hugged me. Mara had hugged me hundreds of times, usually while handing me something, or leaving to do something else. This time her arms stayed around me long enough that I stopped thinking about where my hands belonged. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "Carrying what I asked you to carry." I kissed the top of her head. At the motel, I lay awake beneath a painting of a sailboat and listened to the air conditioner cycle on and off. My phone rang at 5:28. Mara said, "Are you awake?" "I am now." "You've been awake for an hour." That sounds like an accusation. "Do you want breakfast? At the motel? At my house?" The words caught me off guard. "I can be there in 15 minutes. Take 20. I haven't found the frying pan." I dressed, checked out, and drove through streets that were still dark. Cedar Ridge's diagonal parking spaces were empty. Without cars in them, they looked almost reasonable. The porch light was on when I arrived. I parked at the curb and carried the mixer's stainless steel bowl from my truck. It had been left beneath a furniture pad after the move. I could have brought it to the door the night before. Instead, I had waited to make sure she wanted me back. I knocked. Mara opened the door wearing work pants and an old sweatshirt. Her hair was tied with a rubber band. Behind her, boxes still lined the walls, but the kitchen lights were warm. "You forgot this," I said, holding up the bowl. I wondered where it went. I checked the truck before I left. "Of course you did." She took it and stepped aside. I waited. Mara smiled. "You can come in." The oak table was set for 2, with mismatched plates and blue cloth napkins. The cardboard square still sat beneath one leg. Grandma June's recipe tin was open on the counter. The repaired fern bowl held sugar packets. Outside the east windows, the sky had begun turning pale. Mara fitted the metal bowl into the mixer and switched it on. The motor gave a low, steady hum. "It works," she said. I said it did. "You also said the thrift store table was bad." I said it wobbled. "It has character. It has cardboard." She pointed to one of the chairs. "Sit." I sat. Mara cracked eggs into one of her clay bowls. She sang the same line from an old song 3 times because she had never learned the verse. I looked around the small kitchen, the unpacked boxes, the crooked table, the yellow light catching the visible crack in the bowl on the sill. "Is this home?" I asked. Mara looked around too. Then she smiled. "It's becoming one."